we're going to start posting each podcast episode that you see on YouTube a week earlier on Patreon. So feel free to join for early access to all episodes. Plus, we're going to start doing bonus podcast episodes every week. So if you want to join Patreon, it's patreon.com/concrete videos. Next week's episode is already posted there, so feel free to go check it out. Hello, world. Today's guest is John Boseak. John is an insane character and a notorious cyber criminal. Matt Cox actually met John in prison and ended up writing a book about his story. It's called Bent. At 26 years old, John was the most prolific manufacturer of counterfeit credit cards in the entire international cybercrime industry. This kid went from being homeless at the age of 14 in the streets of Miami to one of the most cunning scammers and identity thieves ever. He was even selling credit cards to the Russian mob at one point. We went in on some crazy stories that he told about his life, scamming and running from the Secret Service. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this podcast as much as I did. It was wild. Without further ado, please welcome John Boseak. Thanks for coming on, John. I appreciate you coming down here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Your story is super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that you were able to meet Matt in prison and tell him your story because it is wild.
Yeah.
You were at age 26, one of the most prolific credit card scammer in the world. Is that right?
I wouldn't say the world, but
okay.
Yeah.
Matt was just trying to spice it up.
Yeah.
I was
definitely doing something. I was shaking and moving. Yeah.
Why are you here, Matt?
Okay.
Why are you here with John?
Well, only because it's comical. Like if you because guys will be watching and they'll be like,
besides the fact
waiting
that you're the
for
most
me to
popular
say
guest
something,
in
and
history.
I'm just sitting here going, other than that, people are like, why is Cox here? So
I think the hardcore fans know why you're here, but let's go ahead.
But still,
let's tell everyone why
that's 1,000 people.
Why
you know
are
what I'm
you
saying? You're looking for 100,000.
Hopefully.
So what ends up happening is, so when I was in prison, that's when I met I always say Boseak, but what do you want to go with? John? What are we going? You're going with John? John?
Call him whatever you want.
John.
Yeah, let's go with John. Sure.
Okay, John. Basically, I was in prison. I didn't even talk to him for like the first couple months because he's walking around. I thought he was here for drugs. I knew he had a short sentence, so I didn't think there's no reason to talk to some guy who's going to be gone in 6 months or a year. No reason even. But I was standing in line one day.
How did you?
What?
Like I don't even remember how
we were standing.
How'd you figure out like the whole fraud thing? Like
so we were standing in line.
Chow hall.
In the chow hall,
Yeah.
and we were standing there. Somebody came up, and just somebody happened to come up to me and say, like some other guy had been around, had just gotten there, or whatever, and they were talking about me because there were not a ton of fraud guys. And somebody said, "Hey, Cox, what did you get charged with?" And I was standing there, and I said, fucking bank fraud, conspiracy to commit bank fraud, passport fraud. I started just naming off, and I got to aggravated identity theft. And he's standing behind me, and he goes, "That's what I'm here. That's what I got charged for." I remember I turned around, and I looked at him, and
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember.
And I remember I said, I just figured you were here for meth. And you went like this, and you go, what made you think that? You started laughing, and I thought, because you had all the tattoos, and I thought, this dude's all right. And then I said, well, what did you do? What do you mean aggravated identity theft? And you go, I was doing. And you started telling me. By the time we got to our food, I was thinking, oh, I got to hear this whole story. We sat in the chow hall till they closed the fucker down.
Oh yeah,
for like
we were the last two motherfuckers
yeah,
in there.
I mean,
That's right.
The guards are telling everybody to leave. We're just like, all right. I mean, he just fucking told me.
I remember that
because remember, Kingpin. When you were halfway through your story, I was like, "This is just like Kingpin." The book. There's a book called Kingpin.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just like Kingpin.
Yeah.
And you said, I was on that fucking forum. I know some of those guys.
Yeah, those two guys inspired me to do fraud, to do credit card fraud. Those were like when I like
Max Butler. No, Max
Butler.
Yeah,
I watched their Inside True Crime episode on MSNBC.
It's good shit.
And that's when it fucking blew the whole thing open for me. I was like, oh, okay.
So and that's when I said, man, I gotta write your fucking story.
I feel like I've interviewed a lot of people who have done crazy crimes on this podcast, and I feel like yours is different because your story is just like from where you came from in Miami. You were like a homeless kid, a super young homeless kid.
Yeah, I was pretty much doing my own thing from
Yeah.
a pretty young age.
Yeah. I always find it interesting people like you who come from that kind of background with basically no parents. At what age were you homeless? From like what age to what age? Like when did you first become homeless?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. Technically, there's different stages of homelessness, I guess. I mean, you've got the straight up sleeping behind a fucking dumpster, eating out a trash can homeless, and then you've got like the kind of like I'm just couch surfing, staying at people's houses, homeless. So, so like probably 13 or 14 years old, I was just gone. Yeah, out doing my own thing, sleeping on couches, staying out all night, no curfew, no rules.
What's the crazy parallel that I guess I made with your story is that you find a lot of really successful people, a lot of successful entrepreneurs come from that same type of background where they're kind of like disconnected from their parents or their parents abandoned them or whatever, and they just had to figure it out on their own. I just found your story super fascinating in that regard.
Yeah, it's the adversity. I think the adversity builds character in the long run. People who have had struggle early on in life usually tend to do pretty great things later on in life. It equipped me to deal with situations later on in life that would break most people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it allowed me to sort of live in this frame of mind where I don't really give a fuck. Because I've slept on the street, I've eaten out of trash cans, I've been at rock bottom. And once you've been at rock bottom, you're not scared to go back because there's only one way to go but up from there, So and I like I said, that all of the adversity I had to go through early on, I think definitely set me up for success in a weird way.
Yeah. So how did you get into this world of scamming?
Growing up on the street, you had to survive.
Yeah.
So it was shoplifting and it was figuring out ways to get free food, and it was figuring out ways to scam this and figuring out ways to scam that. So it always starts small and then it builds over time. And over the years, it just gets bigger and bigger, and the scams get bigger and the risks get bigger. And yeah, so it starts small. It started with, I think I started making fake coupons on the computer using Photoshop to go and get free food, and then it went from there to scamming the library system, trying to figure out how to get free internet service, and trying to figure out how to get free streams online it's just been a never-ending saga. Fraud has been such a huge part of my life, unfortunately.
And the fraud that you were committing was heavily influenced by your skills in design and Photoshop. Is that right?
Yeah. I was always been interested in graphic design and media arts and stuff like that.
Right.
And always played around the computer and did a little bit of web development, graphic design. And it allowed me to see, okay, I can do this. And I had an artistic spin. I think, I can do this or I can do that. Or if this scam comes along, I'm able to, figure out how to work every angle of it pretty much just through that one avenue.
So initially what was it? You were just trying to get by? You were just trying to eat and put clothes on your back? Is that why you were scamming at first?
I didn't want to work a job.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't want to work a regular 9 to 5. To me, this is going to sound insane, but I would rather commit suicide or spend the rest of my life in prison than work a regular 9 to 5 job. It's just not in the cards for me.
Yeah, I can relate to you there.
Yeah, it's just not something. I can't do it. I can't wake up every day and go to the same building and punch a clock. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's a ceiling.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
You dig what I'm saying? Like you can't. You're always going to have that limitation placed on you. And I can't. I can't live with limitations. I can't. It limits my thinking. It limits my. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, you started out homeless, scamming, doing like little scams, like trying to scam people with fake lottery tickets and coupons, right? How do you graduate from that to literally printing thousands and thousands of credit cards and making millions of dollars a month.
Yeah. Well, that didn't happen overnight. It was a slow process. You know, I started buying cards myself online and using them.
When you say buying cards, what do you mean by that?
Plastic. So I'm not sure how deep you want to get into it.
As deep as we can get.
Okay.
Balls deep, baby.
Like the forums, explain,
Sure.
The credit card forums.
Okay, well, I guess the easiest way to explain it is to kind of break it down and how the whole thing actually kind of works is anytime you go to a store and you use your debit card and you swipe that magnetic strip, that information that's stored on that magnetic strip is sent to a server somewhere and it's held. Well, these kids over in Russia or you know Ukraine or wherever these kids are, they hack it. They get these numbers, and these numbers by themselves are useless. I mean, you can't go online and buy anything with them. You know, it's pretty much just a raw metadata that's encoded to the back of your plastic card.
Right.
Now, they sell this information for $5, $6, $7, $10, $20, $30 a pop, whatever. Now, with that information, you have to have another piece of equipment, and you have to have a physical card to write that information to be able to clone, to copy, to go to use it in the retail setting. You follow along so far?
Yeah.
And basically what you do is you got two different vendors that you can find, and you've got different various avenues to get to these vendors. You know, if you got, back when I was doing this, is back in the early 2000s, there was carding forums, which don't really exist anymore. The FBI and Secret Service and everything did a pretty good job of shutting them all down. But yeah, you go to these websites and you go to these pages and you get these numbers and you code them to the cards. You go out and use them. And this is what I was doing in the beginning. You know, I would log on. I would figure out what numbers were working, and they're called dumps is the terminology.
Dumps?
Yeah, that's the terminology for the track information. Yeah, it's like it's a dump of information. So
okay.
Yeah, that's the terminology.
And this is the black strip on the back of the credit card?
The magnetic strip on the back of the credit card. Okay. Correct. Yeah.
That's the dump.
Yeah, that's your track information. It's referred to as a dump if you're gonna purchase it on the black market. And so yeah, you know, I would purchase these dumps and I would you know have to figure out the plastic to write them to. And at that time, the plastic was expensive. Like vendors selling plastic was like $100, $200 a piece for one single card that they would print, that they would make, and they would sell it to you. And then you would have a piece of equipment called an MSR 206 reader writer, and you would have to encode, you know, encode your own cards and figure out how to use them. Mm-hmm. And
you're buying these legally, like in the U.S. The cards were illegal.
No.
Okay.
This is all illegal.
Everything.
There's
illegal.
nothing about this that's legal at all. Yeah, it's fraud all the way around.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it is a podcast.
Oh, stop! Your stuff's going.
Typically,
stop.
you turn your phone off.
Oh, all
podcast.
right.
Yeah, it's fraud all the way around.
Okay.
So yeah, you can buy these plastic cards blank legally, but then you're gonna need like a printer to put the logos and the templates and the design and all that stuff like that. So yeah. Right. Yeah, so I got into it and I started using them just slowly here and there, and then I kind of figured out like, you know, I'm missing out on some good money. I'm kind of being middled, you know. The money to me wasn't in using the cards at the stores like the retail. I mean, it was fun at first, you know, being able to walk into a store and pretty much swipe and, you know, get whatever you want. There's a certain rush to it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But when you look at it from a financial standpoint, it wasn't sustainable for any kind of long term because you're taking too much risk. You know, I'm walking in, I'm putting my face on 100 different cameras every day, and let's say on a good day you hit 5 Walmarts and you got a laptop from every Walmart. You're doing good, right? You got 5 laptops. You can go and sell them. But once you do that, you got to go back and get 5 more, and you got to go back and get 5 more, and you got to go back and get 5 more.
You need a way to scale.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I can't. It's just like I said. It's just I needed more money, and I needed.
So where did the money?
Less risk.
Where did the money come from, though? So you're buying the dump. So the information.
That's your information. Some citizen's information.
Okay, so the dumps that you're buying is some victim's.
Well, yeah, like I explained in the beginning, it's like when you go to any store and you swipe your debit card, that information is saved somewhere.
Okay.
And then that information is subsequently hacked.
Got it.
From whoever, and then sold on the black market. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like the front end of the operation. The back end of the operation is the actual manufacturing of the cards themselves. And there's like a whole other market for that as well. You know, like, so there's people who sell just plastics. They're called plastic vendors, which is what I eventually ended up making all my money. That's where I found my success at later, was with just actually being a plastics vendor myself, selling plastic. You know, but like in the beginning, I didn't know. I was green. Like I had no fucking idea. You know, so I'm using them in stores. And
I'm sorry, can I say something? But it was
would
basically.
you like to interject?
Yes, I like to interject. But
Yeah, you got to raise your hand and ask for permission.
Basically, but it was you were at that point. It was your brother who kind of had mentioned.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what you meant? Like, how did he get into it?
He kind of turned me on to the game a little bit. He kind of put me up on game, kind of turned me on to it, and
then it kind of that built from there. So it's like
snowballed.
he didn't come out of the gate knowing this. It's like it was the brother.
Oh, and there was a lot of mistakes made.
Yeah, they slowly started. Yeah,
there's a lot of mistakes made. I mean, I would go to a store and all my cards would get declined, and I've been chased out of stores by security. I've been, you know what I mean? Like there's plenty of trial and error to this whole thing. You know, I just didn't start off making crazy amounts of money. You know, it took about 2 years actually of just slowly, you know, building and working on the product and trying to make it better and trying to figure out, you know, little by little.
So you're buying these cards loaded up with people's information. You're going to stores. You're buying laptops. You're buying electronics and shit. What are you doing? You selling it on eBay? Selling it on Craigslist?
Yeah, Craigslist and everything, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of money are you making doing that?
It was up and down, man. You know, because like, and another part of the problem is you really don't know what each limit of each card's going to be, because I don't know how much money you have in your bank account. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm walking into a store, I don't know how much I'm going to swipe for. So the money, it was never consistent. So it was like maybe I'd make a couple $1,000s one week, and then the next week I'd lose a couple $1,000s. You know what I mean? Or the next week I'd make $3,000, and then the next week I would make $500. So the money was never consistent, and it was like every store you go into, it's like you got to watch security, and you got to pick your person at the counter, and it's like a whole. It becomes exhausting after a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you graduate from? What did you graduate to after that? And how did you step it up a level?
Yeah. Well, I started doing online carding actually, which. Normally people usually do the online carding first, but then I got into the online carding second. And that's when I got onto the online, I really got into the online forums, because the online carding pushed me more online. Because the physical carding is just more, okay, I'm going to buy it, and I'm in the stores all day long. I'm out doing the stores, and I'm doing the physical aspect part of it. But when I really started getting into the online carding is when I started getting into like the carding forums, and I started reading tutorials, and I started talking to other guys that were doing fraud. And I kind of, you know what I mean? Like there was some guys that would do a bunch of fraud, and they would just write a whole matrix on it.
What year was this?
2004, 2005. So this is pre-Silk Road.
This is pre-Silk. Okay,
this
I was just going to ask you that.
Silk Road. Yeah, like the Silk Road didn't even exist at this time. There was no dark web, Silk Road.
Right.
It just didn't exist. So I was using IRC chats, and I was using carding forums.
There was no Bitcoin, was there?
Bitcoin was in its infancy.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I invested, believe it or not, I think somewhere around $2,500 in Bitcoin when they first kicked off. And that... I would be a multimillionaire by now. I would be 100 times over.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, but that laptop that Bitcoin on was confiscated by the Secret Service.
No way.
Yeah, so the Secret Service has a laptop now with probably $100 million on it. I mean, I don't know what the conversion rate is now. I mean, do the math. 2005, Bitcoin was like...
Bitcoin's at what, like $12,000?
It's at like $12,000, $13,000 right now. So yeah. Major bummer.
Fuck. All right, so you're on these forums.
Right, yeah. So I got into online forums, and it really opened my eyes to the whole world of carding and fraud and the actual technical side behind it on the back end. And that's when I kind of figured out where the money was at, like where the money is to be made at. And it was in plastic. It was in plastic. Because the guy making the most money wasn't the guy mining the gold. It was the guy selling the pickaxes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's where my mind went to. And I was like, you know what? I love that analogy.
I like that.
I love
that.
I
was just thinking that's...
I have a good friend who said that to me years ago, and it's always stuck with me.
Yeah, and it made sense to me too at the time, and I was like, okay, well, where's the money at? Where's the money at in this whole... Let's sit down and look at this whole thing subjectively. Let's look at everything, and figure out where the money is. And once I figured that out, then I started working at that little puzzle.
Okay, so how did you figure out that piece of the puzzle? How did you start?
Trial and error, man.
How did you be like,
Trial
you
and
gotta start
error.
making these pickaxes, these credit cards, these
Yeah,
pieces of
I
plastic?
bought just a piece of shit, cheap fucking, I think it was like a Fargo DTC printer from eBay. It was like $200, and the cards that you made with it were shit. Like the quality, they never printed right or anything like that. And I was making them. I was fucking going out to the store trying to use them. You know what I mean? And I was getting ran out of stores, and so it was like, so I had to start with like a real low tech operation. Like I was using like a manual embosser to push the numbers in the cards. Like I had a big fucking wheel in it with all the fucking characters, and you had zzz, like an old, like an old rotary phone.
Yeah, like a typewriter.
And you had to physically stamp out the card, So I started real low tech, and then I knew, the better equipment. I had to, get the money and buy the better printer, buy the manual or the automatic embosser, buy the heat, the foil stamper. And it's just, I knew every piece of equipment I had to buy to make my product better. And that was like the first main goal.
Where'd you buy like the actual physical blanks?
Oh, there's a website that sells like all that crap. That sells like the printer ribbons for the printer for the Fargo printers. They sell the blank because none of this equipment is illegal to own or purchase.
Right.
I mean, you can purchase all this equipment for for your business.
Make gift cards. You can make.
Say you want to do employee ID badges or for like hospitals and banks and all. Also like all this equipment it's readily available on the internet. You just got to know where to look.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you? What kind of money were you making? Like.
In the beginning, I wasn't making shit.
In the beginning, you were just buying shit and selling it on Craigslist.
I was in the hole in the beginning. Like I've lost so much money doing all this crap. I think I poured so much money in the beginning. It was just ridiculous. I mean, I was getting robbed. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of scammers online. Like you got to go through that whole rigmarole and get robbed 10 times before you actually find somebody who's legitimate. And so
really, fuck.
Yeah, it's a whole. I mean, you're dealing with scumbags.
There's no rating system like on eBay.
There is now.
There is now.
Oh, there is now. Yeah. I mean, they've got escrow services and shit now for fraud. Like, I want to buy like 100 pieces of plastic off a vendor, and I've never purchased from you before. Well, there's a fucking fraud escrow service where you send the money to escrow. I get my product. I tell escrow, okay, I'm satisfied with it, and they go ahead and release the money to the vendor.
Wow.
Like it's all fucking.
It's legit now.
It's all corporate now. Yeah. It's all corporate.
Shit.
Yeah, I was back in the Flintstone days, man. I was one of the first pioneers of this whole fucking thing.
That's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, it's all Star Trek.
Is this stuff still going on right? Like today? The
game's changed a little bit? Yeah, but I mean, it's still the same. But banks have cracked down a lot harder. You know what I mean? So say I would buy 100 dumps, 100 cards, and they were from like California, and I was in Michigan, and I tried to use them in Michigan, they would get declined right away. Now they would. Before it wasn't so much, but now it's. Yeah, now it's the whole game's changed. Yeah, and I don't even know if there's a whole lot of money left in it anymore.
Yeah.
Not like there was before, anyway.
So, you had like some hot chick you were dating, right?
Which one?
This is what part of the story was this? You were dating.
You were dating. Help you along. You mean what? Is this the one that was?
You were dating some like hot chick.
Felicia,
who was like blackmailing.
Felicia.
She was blackmailing you, saying she was gonna rat you out because you had all this stuff. She said that you had you said in the story it says that you had all these like expensive clothes in your apartment. You had a bunch of shoes and watches and jewelry and all kinds of shit you were buying.
Yeah. And she was a piece of shit.
How much money did you have then? Like at that point when you were living with her?
Maybe 60 grand, 80 grand. It was less than $100,000 I think I had at that point in time. Because I was in Michigan. I was in Detroit at that time.
Was this on the Flintstone machine?
No, I was actually doing something.
You were carding.
Yeah, I was in full swing. Now.
You were in full swing.
Yeah, I was in full swing when I was with her. Yeah.
Okay,
but I was carding though. You weren't making the cards at that point. You didn't. This was you and your brother were just carding.
No. When I was with Felicia, this is after me and my brother had already done the thing, and I was in Michigan.
Okay.
And then I was going back or whatever, but yeah.
So why did you move to Michigan? You went from Miami to Michigan. How did
my
that
whole
happen?
family's from Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were originally from Michigan.
I was born in Michigan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went back when?
This was right before I met my wife. Right before I got caught in Temple Terrace. So this was probably 2007, 2008, or something like that. Yeah, I'm not really.
Okay.
The details are fuzzy. I smoke a lot of pot, dude. So fine details with me
that
could
300
be.
milligrams is kicking in right now.
I think so a little bit. Yeah, yeah. But
Wait, do you have a probation officer, or am I allowed to say that?
me, no. I'm good.
Oh, you're
man.
good. Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I'm good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got out of prison and I went right back to prison after I got out, and then I had like 3 years of paper, and they fucking killed my paper.
How long were you in
Kicked me
prison
out the
for
door.
total?
I did 24 months total.
24 months. That's it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Matt. How long were you in for? You were in for like 9 years.
Fucking 12 and a
I
half.
did 12 years.
Almost 13 years.
Yeah, yeah. I got
Jesus.
lucky. Yeah, I got lucky.
And this dude made more money than you made.
Yeah. He was supposed to get like 10 years. He
Yeah,
should've got
they were
10 or
trying
12
to
years.
slam me. They were really trying to slam me. I had the best lawyer ever.
How the hell did you
Catherine
get out of all
Everett.
that?
Yeah, huh?
How did you get out of all of this?
I had a good lawyer,
Wow.
public defender.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
man.
she was just she just took a liking to me and just did not want to see me doing all that time.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back in
Sure,
time.
let's rewind.
Let's go through this thing chronologically. You have the Flintstone credit card printer. You're just starting to get into
Low tech
making the
operation.
plastics.
Yeah.
Low tech. What starts happening after that?
I started progressively making a little bit more money, and I was able to slowly just start upgrading every piece of equipment to make a better product. And
Okay.
That was kind of like, I say about a year. It took about a year really to get going, to really get like the good equipment, to where I could make a credit card that looks like it came straight from the bank. And when I got to that point, I was like, okay, I kind of knew. Like, I didn't have the clientele yet, but I knew I had the product. I knew I had the product right. You know?
Were you honing in like the design of these cards?
The templates. Yeah, the templates. Everything had to be right. I mean, I had to figure out how to make the Visa logo.
Because there's holograms and shit built into these cards. It's pretty technical the way to design them.
Yeah.
The Chinese guys.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
The hologram issue, I found a dude in China. Yeah, I found a dude in China that owned a printing company, and I basically
The Alibaba.
I was Alibaba, or was it
I know Fiverr wasn't around back
DH
then.
Gate or something like that.
DH Gate.
I think it was
That's still
DH
around.
Gate. Oh, they're still cranking.
Holy
Yeah,
shit,
they're
that's
cranking.
funny.
So I found a dude on there, and I cut out a credit card. I cut one out of like a real credit card, and then I mailed it to him to China. And I was like, "Can you do this for me?" And I was like, I sent him. He's like, "Send me a sample." And I sent it to him, and I think like 6 weeks later, I got like a roll of like 5,000 Visa and MasterCard holograms, heat press hollows.
Damn.
Yeah. And then once I had those, it was a wrap. Because I mean, my graphic design game's pretty dope.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm a wizard with that shit. I've always have been, it's just something that I've just always been natural with. And so yeah, I mean, once I did that, and once I had the holograms, and once I had the actual physical product made, once I figured out how to make the Visa logo, once I had figured out how to do the SIG strip on the back, the signature strip on the back, because that's like a whole thing, and then there's like this rear indent embossing, I had to figure that out. So there was hurdles, and it took a while. It took like 6 or 8 months before I had a verifiable, certifiable, like, a product that you just couldn't shoot holes in. There's no way. Yeah.
It would be completely indistinguishable from a regular credit card.
Yeah, if you put your from Bank of America and you put mine next to it, there'd be no difference.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
So what are you doing with that? So now you're making these credit cards and you're selling them on these forums or what?
I started using them.
Okay.
First.
Okay.
Because I didn't
to
really
test them out.
Yeah, to just to see, do test runs and flying colors. Nobody even bat an eyelash. I never had one issue, never one single issue. Maybe a couple declines, just because the dump information wasn't probably, good or whatever. But yeah. So I was using them, and then I figured out, okay, let me get on the forum. And I was already dealing with people on the forum from buying dumps and buying plastic and stuff like that. So I talked to a few of my guys on the forum, and I had to get, they had to vouch for me. But since I'd already been on the forum for a year and a half, 2 years, that wasn't really a big deal, And I was on 2 or 3 different forums, so I was pretty well known in the community. It's just like
you had like a popular screen name.
I did, yeah. U.S. Plastico.
U.S. Plastico.
That's what probably in the long run. That's what probably got me fucked.
Really?
Was trying to be clever, and you know what I mean. And
you're trying to brand yourself.
I was thinking, I should have just been like, anonymous or whatever. But so I think that's.
But you have to stay consistent on that scam in that scam world, though, right? I mean, people have to know who you are to be able to trust you.
Yeah.
So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And like I said, I had 2 years in at that point. And I knew all the major players in the game, and I knew who was doing what just from being on the forums and being on IRC.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so what happens next?
My product got better.
Sorry,
Yeah.
did you already meet Milmo Man at this?
No, Melmo Man came after I got onto Dark Market.
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't on. No, that was Carter.su. I met Melmo Man, and that came later. That came, that was probably towards the very end, like at the very pinnacle of my career, if you want to put it that way.
Melmo Man?
Yeah, Melmo Man was the dude who opened up all the doors for me in the karting world. He
Really?
He had all the he knew. Yeah, he plugged me in.
So you still
That
at
was
this point you got the guy from China who printed thousands of these holograms for you for your credit cards.
Yeah.
You had these fucking rock solid fake credit cards that you made.
Yeah.
But you still had like a long way to go before you reached your peak.
Oh yeah. Well, I had no clientele.
Okay.
I had no clientele, and it took a while. It took maybe 6 months to build trust in the community and to build clientele.
So thousands of these credit cards, you're literally taking these little holograms and you're physically like placing them on each of these credit cards with your hands, like hand by hand.
Each one. Each credit card.
Holy shit,
each card's
dude.
handmade.
How long does that take? How long does it take to do one card?
Oh, I had it down. I could print one card in less than 5 minutes. I could print
everything, stick everything onto it.
Yeah, well, yeah. See, I would already have all the templates lined up in Photoshop.
Okay.
Like ready to go. All my windows open. Bam, 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 bam. You know what I mean? And then I would load maybe like 10 or 15 cards in the printer, and I would be like, okay, print in sequence. Print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, print 5. So then it would run out all the cards, print them front and back. You know what I mean? It would put all, and the only thing I really had to do myself was emboss and do the hologram. So I would have to physically place the hologram myself and use a heat press to adhere it to the plastic. Mm-hmm. And then I would have to manually emboss the card myself. And this is before I got the auto embosser, where I could just throw them in and do a batch, and it would run a 50 or 100 at a time.
Damn.
Yeah. So when I got really efficient at it, I could maybe do 100 cards in an hour. About an hour. I could print, hologram, and emboss about 100 cards.
So you're making close to 1,000 cards in a day.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. If I'm cranking away, but then sometimes you have problems. The printer gets too hot and starts fucking melting cards and printing shit sideways. So you've always got little issues.
Right.
Yeah, like that you got to deal with. But yeah, I could do 1,000 cards in a day.
What's the most cards that you did in a day, you think?
That I've manufactured in one day?
Mm-hmm.
I think I've done about 800, between 600 and 800 in one day. On a good day, if everything was going right and I had all my equipment operating properly. Yeah. Okay,
so how did you start getting this out there on online or on these black market, on these on the dark web, and start getting customers to buy shitloads of them?
Yeah, so the first Carter forum that I was on, I went ahead and I just made my first post. Here I am, new vendor.
Right.
Here's my product. You post pictures. It's like it was like a whole thing, not anymore. And then, I would get maybe like 1 or 2 orders a month, And then once those orders came in and like people started leaving positive feedback, it just kind of snowballed after that. And then I remember the day, because I would only get maybe 1 or 2 orders, but I remember the day I woke up and I checked one of my emails and I had 15 or 20 orders waiting for me, and I couldn't believe it.
How much is
$1,000.
One order is $1,000?
Yeah.
For how many cards?
100.
100 cards.
Yeah, it's $20 a card, 100 cards, 2 drivers, or I'd make IDs for you, however many you wanted, and then I would do, I think it was like 100 cards, embossed, everything encoded, numbers.
And IDs?
And IDs. Yeah.
Holy shit.
But I wouldn't make 100 IDs. Obviously, I'd make like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Or whatever they wanted. But so there was a cap on that.
So the IDs have to obviously correspond with the credit cards?
Exactly, yeah. Because say you go to a store and you make a purchase, and it's over like $300 or $400. Like a lot of stores, like people don't realize this, but a lot of stores, like say Best Buy, you go to Best Buy, if you make a purchase over $300, they physically ask for your card. And they physically take your card, and they go on their POS machine. Now, their POS machine, the point of sale service machine, won't let them process the sale unless the 4 digits on the front of the card match what's actually encoded to the card. So it's like a security step. So what they do is they take the card and they punch the numbers into the computer because you've already swiped it. So they're going to punch these numbers in, and if these numbers on the front of the card don't match what's being swiped, it's automatic fraud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to have the corresponding plastic to match the numbers, and you have to have the ID because they're going to ask for ID because I don't have the people's PIN number, so you're not processing it as debit. You always have to process it as credit, even though it's a debit card.
Got it.
So they have to have ID. When you process anything for credit, they always ask for ID, always, especially if it's a big purchase.
Right.
You know.
Huh.
Louis Vuitton, you go to Louis Vuitton and try and buy a $2,000 handbag on a credit card, they're going to ask you for ID.
Right.
1,000%.
Yeah.
You know, even if you go in there looking the part, they're still going to ask. They always ask for ID.
Right.
You know. So you have to have the ID to match the card. Everything has to jive. The numbers, everything has to be coherent.
Okay, so is there a minimum number of cards they had to buy for one order? So is the minimum 100 minimum 100?
It was a $1,000 minimum order.
Okay.
So it was 100 cards, and then I would work with them on the IDs, like whatever they wanted.
Okay.
Because those were easy to make.
Cool. So that's good money. You're getting a couple orders a day, making a couple thousand.
I was
a day.
doing like 1 or 2 orders a month, and then
Okay.
like I said, I woke up that one morning and I remember I had 20 orders waiting on me, and I couldn't believe it.
One morning, you just had 20
I
orders.
had 20 waiting on me. Yeah. I remember that day distinctively. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I
Who was the
was
person who
running around
ordered
the house
those?
jumping off the fucking furniture, dude.
Were you?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, 20 grand, that's a lot of money for
for
somebody
sure.
who doesn't have shit.
It's a lot of
And
money
for somebody who's
anybody.
been getting robbed and pouring all their fucking every dollar they've had into this shit for the past 2.5 years and not going anywhere. You know? So to
Yeah.
me, this was victory. This was, I made it.
Right. So what else are you doing in the meantime besides? I mean, obviously you're just sitting online. Like you have your info sitting online for people to order, and there's only so much time you're spending making these cards. What else are you doing?
I was doing some online carding. I was
Okay.
doing some virtual, call it virtual carding. I was doing virtual carding. I was still going in stores here and there.
Okay.
And, mind you, I wasn't spending any money at this time either because I had cards. If I needed gas, I would go
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
fill up with a card at the gas station. If I needed groceries, I would take a card to the grocery store and buy $300-$400 in groceries. You know? So all my money is basically just going in a fucking shoebox in the closet, and I'm not really spending any of it. Yeah. And at this point in time, I had been living off of credit cards, stolen credit cards, for probably 3.5 years. Like, I didn't have a job for 3.5 years. I was just using stolen credit cards for everything.
Where were you living?
At this point, I was in Coral Springs.
Okay. And you pay your rent with the credit cards?
Well, I would just go, when rent time would roll around, I'd go grab a laptop or 2 laptops.
Get cash?
Just cash it out, go pay $1,000 for rent or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. What a fucking life. How old were you?
Early
at
20s.
At this point, when
early
you got the
20s.
$20,000 order, early 20s?
Yeah, I was about 25. 24, 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did Shoulder Surfer come?
Shoulder Surfer and Memo Man came in later, about 2008. I think early 2008.
Who's Shoulder Surfer?
Shoulder Surfer is another dude from the forums
Okay.
that I was dealing with. Just another scam artist, another scammer.
And what was his story?
We were doing cash outs, so I would send him cards, and then he would.
So I think he was the guy running the. I thought he was the Russian contact.
Shoulder Surfer? Oh, I'm sorry, Melmo Man, me and Melmo Man. I'm sorry,
Yeah. I was just thinking
yeah,
The
you're
gummies are kicking in.
Yeah, the gummies
You're
are
right.
kicking in. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, yeah. He wrote the book. I just lived it. I mean,
I
he
mean,
knows
bro,
all the
yeah.
facts. I'm fucking fuzzy.
Well, what's funny is when I was writing the book, like it's like Milmo Man. Like
Yeah.
he had been talking about Milmo Man. I have all these notes with Milmo Man. And Milmo Man had introduced him to Shoulder Surfer. It's like, how do you even verify that these people are? And I actually had I'd actually got a police report in where his brother had been arrested in like a Target or a Walmart or something. I don't know what Target. Yeah. He got arrested in Target, and they went on the forum. The police officer went on the forum and actually took a screenshot of the forum, and it showed everybody that had been on the forum that day. And Milmo Man was actually one of the people on there. Like I've been writing it down over and over again. I just started reading through the names, and sure enough, I was like, "Holy shit, there's Milmo Man." But yeah, Milmo Man was the guy that introduced you to the Rush. I'm
Shoulder
like
Surfer.
to me, Shoulder Surfer. Yeah, the
Shoulder
Russian
Surfer.
guy. Sorry, that's
Yeah,
what I was trying to think. Because I remember when you told me the story, and shoulder surfing is a term for people that look over your shoulder or something like that. That's the original.
Yeah, so they can get your PIN number or
Yeah,
whatever.
back
It's just
when-
a tactic.
Yeah, back
like
when
a social engineering tactic.
Like he was so old. He'd been doing it so long that his handle was shoulder surfer, which is a thing that you wouldn't even know about. It's like when you used to have like cards, you used to push. If you had to call somebody long distance, you had a long distance card. You had to punch in the PIN number. Shoulder surfing was where somebody would stand over your shoulder. And
what? Oh, I thought you said the camera was out. All right, go ahead.
Someone would stand over your shoulder and get the PIN number. And then they would sell it or be able to use the long distance. And that guy had been around so fucking long. That was his handle was shoulder surfer. So that's like the 80s or 90s or something.
So this dude was old.
Yeah.
So that's what. Yeah, I knew when you.
Not to mean to go off topic, but did you know back in the day when they were back in the 80s when they were doing the long distance phone call, you had to put in the PIN, and it would give you it would register the dial tone with the company to let them know that this was the tone to let you into the long distance phone call. Long line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a whistle that they sold in a Captain Crunch cereal box. That it was at a certain frequency that you could blow it into the fucking phone. It would give you free long distance phone calls.
What?
Yeah, you know
Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch had a whistle they used to sell in their cereal boxes. That was at like
not
a certain.
Not on purpose.
No,
of
obviously
course not.
It was at like a certain hertz. Like the frequency was at a certain hertz, and for some reason, it allowed you to. If you blew it on the phone, you hit a certain digit, and you blew the whistle. It would allow you to make free long distance phone calls.
Did you do this?
Well, this is before my time, but
You just heard about it.
yeah, these are the scams I was like learning when I was a kid. You know, all this everything's digital. We're talking analog shit.
Yeah.
All this shit was analog. You know, early 90s,
like
early 90s.
You know, Steve Jobs and what's his name?
Wozniak.
Yeah.
Wozniak. You know, they were selling that fucking box that allowed you to. That was like their first little business. Was they were selling this little box that allowed you to get free long distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it's completely illegal. Like that was the first thing they did was they sold these little, I forget what they called them, a blue box or something, and you could put in a tone and it would over the telephone and it would give you free long distance. So you were buying these boxes and they're selling you the boxes that allow you to fake out the telephone service so you could get free long distance. That was Steve Jobs' that was like their first little thing.
Yeah.
Before Apple.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But anyway, what I was trying to say was that when you started making when you met Shoulder Surfer, the
That's
Russian
when the money
guy.
started rolling.
Yeah,
How did you
that's-
meet this dude? Shoulders
On the forums?
Yeah.
He's a Russian.
I don't know.
You never met him in real life.
No, you don't know what any of these people are. I mean, I dealt with one dude for like 2.5 years, and I thought he was like this. In my mind, I thought he was like this nerdy fucking white dude. Turns out he was like this Jamaican fucking black dude from Canada.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that I was doing fraud with back and forth, and
Really?
it was.
Did you actually meet him in person?
No, but I ended up talking to him on the phone one day, and like just through conversation, I kind of figured out like his ethnicity.
That's so funny. If you deal with somebody for so long without meeting them.
Yeah, you have just no idea because I'm dealing with emails and screen names.
Yeah.
You know, so
Everything's emails and screen.
everything's
names.
anonymous. Yeah, you don't. I mean, then when you build a rapport, you deal with somebody for years, then you might get a phone call from them. You know, you might talk on the phone with them to try and organize something or do whatever you guys are doing.
Are you transacting everything in like with Bitcoin or are you?
At this time, I was using something called WMZ, which is called Web Monies. I think the FBI shut it down, and there was something else called Liberty Reserve. It was LRZ, and this was pre-Bitcoin. So then after when Bitcoin came along, not too many people were hip to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin wasn't as easily accessible as it is today. Like I can just open my Robinhood app and buy Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin. Like you fucking couldn't do that back in the day. Like you had to go find somebody to cash your Bitcoin out, and then there was like all these sketchy like online Russian services you had to go through to buy Bitcoin. Like it just wasn't like it is now. So so a lot of it, most of it was Western Union. At the end of the day, it was Western Union.
Really?
It was the bulk of the currency exchange I was getting. Yeah.
So, how did this shoulder surfer dude change everything you were doing and change your business?
He emailed me one day. He asked me to send him 2,000 cards on front.
Which is outrageous.
What's that, like
by the way?
200 grand?
Yeah, something like, 2,000 card. Yeah, it was something real ridiculous. It was just real ridiculous. And I was just like, and he kind of put it out there. He's like, listen, I got this guy. He didn't tell me any days. Like, I got this guy. He's trying to put something together. He's like, can you send me X amount of cards? I don't remember I think it was about 2,000 cards or something. He's like, this is what I need. And he gave me a laundry list. And the dude's credible. Like, I know who he is. I know he makes money. I know people personally that I've dealt with that he's made money in the past. And so
which
like,
is Milmo Man. That's
which is
why I
Milmo
was
Man.
getting to Milmo Man. I was only
Yeah.
saying Milmo Man because Milmo Man basically introduced him to Shoulder Surfer, and that's when it kind of takes off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm like, what do I got to lose? I mean, it doesn't really cost me anything to make these cards. Like, there's no overhead
Right.
on this. I mean, I can order
'Cause you own the
5,000.
machines now.
Yeah, I own everything. I mean,
By the way, how much did these machines cost you?
the good one was about $5,000.
Okay.
And it was a Fargo HDP 5000.
So you just have these big badass printers in your house.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I had a one bedroom was just all. It was all just fraud.
Just a print shop.
Yeah, it was just a print shop. And then my wife I was with at the time, we weren't married, but my girlfriend I was with at the time, we had our son, Nicholas. He was a baby, and I would have him in the room with me while I'm printing all these fucking credit cards, and like all the ones that would come out fucked up, I would leave in a pile on the floor, and he'd just be sitting in the middle of the floor playing with all these fucking, you know what I mean, all these half printed fucking credit cards and shit. It's like, oh my gosh, it's fucking.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'd find them all over the house because he'd run off with them. You
What
know
a
what I
great-
mean?
what
I'd
a
find
great
credit
memory.
cards in the fucking in the couch
Great
underneath
memory.
the bed.
Like, what a great memory. So sweet.
Yeah. So he'd stash credit cards all over the house, and I'd have to find them and fucking shred them. Little shit.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Your kid showing up to daycare with credit cards and falling out of his diaper.
What does Daddy do for a living? He makes these.
Yeah. It was funny.
Milmo Man
Mellow Man plugged
ordered
me in.
200,000 credit
no.
cards.
Well, Shoulder Surfer.
Shoulder Surfer.
2,000 cards, roughly. I don't remember what the exact number was. I think it was around about there.
Okay.
Yeah, it was about there. And
So that you were doing really good after that.
after that, whoever he plugged me in with, that was it. I was there. I didn't sell to anybody else after that. I only sold to him. I didn't have to deal with anybody else. Like I pretty much just ignored everybody else, and I only dealt with him because he was doing, I think like 100 orders a month. I think after it got like really big. Yeah, I think he was doing about 100 orders a month after his fourth order. It was every other day. He wanted 100 cards.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah, every 2 or 3 days.
And you were physically doing all this?
Yeah, everything myself. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no co-defendants. I had nobody in on it with me. I had nobody, it was just me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just me.
What about security? What about the like you remember said you were going through these different security, the socket servers
Oh, you're just talking about like the VPN and the SOX proxy
Right.
and all that shit like that. Yeah, just to hide my anonymity online. And
yeah, like how does the Secret Service? I mean, once they got involved and they knew what U.S. Plastico was and they came looking for you, how did they not track you down? Because they track me down in a second if I fucking
yeah.
try to do something. They'd
No,
be,
well, I mean, I wasn't dumb. I wasn't
Yeah.
using my home IP address to
Right,
do
right.
any of this shit. I mean,
Right.
that's just ignoramus.
but
you know
how does
what I
that
mean?
work? I'm saying you go to.
Well, yeah, you download what's called a virtual private network, a VPN. It's usually just a service provider that hosts like an IP address wherever you want, and then you've got something like a SOX proxy 3 and 4, which just they plug your IP address into different servers, and it makes it a little bit harder for
Yeah, and this
So you-
kind of stuff,
Yeah.
what you're talking about, this at that time in the 2000s, like the
Early 2000s,
early 2000s,
yeah.
that is like advanced.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
for
Oh
the
wait,
early
he's
2000s.
imagine him telling me all this in prison. I don't fucking have a clue what any of this is at all.
So there's something called a BIN number, which is called a bank identification number, and the first 6 digits of any credit card or any debit card will tell you what bank issued it. So when you get these dumps in, I had a directory where I could look up the BIN, and
Are we recording still?
Yeah, we never stopped recording.
Oh, okay.
yeah, so the BIN number, the first 6 digits of a card tells you what bank issues that card. Now, after a while, after just doing it, it's hit or miss, but then you kind of figure out which bins work good in what areas, because that's what it really comes down to. At the end of the day, it boils down to what regions the bins come from, and what regions the bins are being used in. You know what I mean? Because now it all gets flagged automatically. Like they've got software now, and that's just automatically, flags. Like say I'm from it's all done by zip code now. Like say mine's 85932 is my zip code, and it's being used in 85936 or something that's way outside of your zip code. The bank will automatically decline your shit and shut it down. You know what I mean? Then you got to call the bank or whatever. So
Right.
You know, but yeah, you figure out which bins work, and it's just luck. It's either luck or, you know.
So, what were you talking? We were just talking about the VPNs, and you were using VPNs to.
Sure, yeah, I was using VPNs, and I was using a SOX proxy on top of the VPN.
And do you think those proxies and the VPNs you were using? Do you think that's the reason why you were able to stay out of trouble for so long?
Yeah, I mean, I flew under the radar for not. I don't think it was only that. It was because
you seemed like you were pretty crazy. You didn't. I mean, you seemed like you were just kind of like a little bit reckless. You didn't seem like the kind of guy who would be actively using using all this high tech shit to stay under the radar and make sure and cross all your T's and dot all your I's. You sounded like you were a little bit reckless too.
My brother is really the one that got me to be like, you know what? Always be paranoid. He told me, always be paranoid. He's like, always have a contingency plan, always be paranoid, and always act as if you're being watched. You know what I mean? And he's the one that kind of taught me about your digital footprint. And that's how I learned about IP addresses and, you know what I mean, ISPs and DSNs and all that shit. Like, I had no clue. I was clueless before, you know? And fraud is what really, like, got me into learning about all the IT. Yeah.
They were both carding. I mean, his brother's been caught. His brother's been fucking chased. His brother was on the run.
My brother is an absolute genius.
He is.
Yeah. Like, I know I'm smart, but there's a difference. There's smart, like, I'm able to figure shit out, and I'm able to watch somebody do something, and I can repeat it fast and quick. Like, I'm a fast learner. Mm-hmm. My brother comes up with he just comes up with the original ideas.
Innovator.
He's the innovator. He just thinks outside of the box. He's just got this brilliance about him that allows him to come up with these ideas that you would never even, the angle that you would just never think of would be the first thing that he thinks of. Is his brilliance. Yeah.
So we wrote the outline. I wrote the whole outline. After I wrote the outline, I started writing the whole book. He got out, and I wrote the whole book just with emails between me and John, and phone calls. And then, of course, he disappeared, which at the end of the book, he disappears.
I went back to prison.
But what happened is this. What I was going to say was when I put up I had a website while I was still in prison, and I put up the story. So I actually put up his story on my website just prior to getting out of prison, maybe a year or two in, or a year or two before I got out. I put up the story, and I had like photos and stuff on it. I had his brother's mugshot on it. His brother contacted me and was like, "Hey, shit, what's your brother's name?"
Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher. Yeah, this is Chris Boseak.
Yeah.
I'm John's brother. When people run my name, your story comes up, and it's causing me major fucking problems. I need you to remove my story and remove my name. And I went. So of course I'm emailing him back, and we're going through somebody, by the way. So I can't email him really directly. I'm actually emailing him through this chick named Joy that was helping me. So I shoot one to her, she shoots one back.
I didn't know that either. Yeah. I didn't know that either.
And we're going back and forth, and he starts saying, "Look, I need you to remove my name from it." And I went, "Okay, well," I said, "Okay, that would make, I have to go through, rewrite the whole thing, have Joy, I got to pay to have this done. Joy's not, people, this costs money and time." And I said, "Well, what are you going to do for me?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, I need some pictures. Your brother's disappeared." I said, "I don't know where he is. I'm writing letters to the Freedom of Information Act. I'm trying to figure out where he is." And I end up saying, I need some photos, some childhood photos, some this. And I start asking him questions. He's like, "What?" He goes, "Well, I got those photos, but that would require me to deal with my mother, which I'm unwilling to do."
Really?
He didn't want to go there. He said he had to go to your mom's. He had to go in the basement. He had to dig out the files.
Okay.
He goes, I don't want to have to deal with her. I don't want to have to explain the whole situation. I don't want to do that. And I went, "Okay, well then I'm not taking your name off the thing." "Well, it's causing me major problems." I said, "Well, bro, there's multiple articles out there on you being arrested for credit card fraud. So don't tell me that my story is upsetting, is causing you problems when there's you've got multiple arrests. You've been in prison in multiple states. You got multiple articles about you being arrested for credit card fraud. So my story's not affecting you. The problem is my story tells the entire cohesive story as opposed to a random article here and there. And I'm sure he didn't like that. And I had the photograph. Photographs public records. So we go back and forth, and he basically was unwilling to do anything other than to say, take this down. No, I'm not going to fucking take it down. I'll change it. I'll alter it. I'll use a different name, but give me something. Make it worth my while in some way. He wouldn't do it. So anyway, that's why when you mentioned your brother, I just remembered thinking, oh,
yeah,
that's
and
right.
Up until this point, me and my brother have been pretty tight. Like
Where's your brother now?
I believe he's in Texas. He lives in Texas.
Okay, and you don't talk to him?
No, up until this point, me and my brother have been really close. Like we grew up together, obviously, and when I was in prison, he was like the only one that was there for me, sending me money and like taking care of me and shit. And now he won't even speak to me.
Why won't he speak to you?
Obviously, he's pretty upset about me involving him in this the book and all that. And which I get it, dude. I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. You're trying to live the straight and narrow, and you're trying to. And I don't think he even told his wife. Doesn't even know. I don't think she really knew like everything. You know what I mean? Like I kind of think he might have minimized or whatever when he was explaining everything to his wife, and I kind of just peeled open a whole fucking can of worms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get it, and I'm not even like I'm kind of hurt by it, but at the same time, dude, I get it. We're adults, and you guys got to live his life. So
if your brother was the genius and your brother was the innovator behind all this stuff, did you rise higher in the ranks than he did, or did you accomplish more, make more than he did, or was he?
For him, it was never about that. He wasn't like he was just fucking around with it as a joke, carding. And I know that's whatever, but he was just fucking around. I got fucking obsessed with it, and I made it. You know what I mean? My 24/7, 365. You know what I'm saying? So it was never really about like I went further than him or whatever, because once he got busted, once me and him got chased out of a fucking Walmart for trying to get a laptop, I got away, he got caught.
Really?
And I feel fucking horrible about it because I woke him up.
Explain that. Explain
like,
that.
I'm laughing about it. You feel horrible, and I'm thinking.
Because this is what started like my brother's downward trajectory.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was like first of all, he was living with me in Coral Springs, and I remember waking him up. This day, I remember this day distinctly. I woke him up out of a dead fucking sleep to go commit credit card fraud because I wanted to go out and steal. You know what I mean? So I wake him up. I make him go to Walmart with me to fucking card a laptop because I think because he had the ID for the card, so you know what I mean. He had to be the one to do it. You know what I mean? So we get there, we get back there, we get the laptop, we get to the counter. The dude looks at the card, swipes it, looks at the ID, picks up the phone. We got a code red back here at electronics. I immediately knew what fucking time it was. So I kind of just do an about face, and I slowly start walking towards the front door. I look back, my brother's still standing at the counter. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, man, just fucking walk away, walk away, walk away. So I get to the front door, to the automatic doors in Walmart. They slide open. Here comes my brother just blowing past me with two dudes chasing him. Just a fucking full out. And the look of sheer fucking terror on his face as he was going through them fucking doors in Walmart and the two fucking dudes are chasing him. I'll never forget the look on that kid's face. And that's when it hit me in my stomach. I was like, I fucked up. And then one dude tries to grab my shirt. I did some kind of spin move and slapped his hand away and booked it out of the parking lot. And I got away. And I went and hid in the fucking woods. And he went to jail, got arrested. You know what I mean? Yeah, I felt bad. Apparently, one of his flip-flaps fucking blew out on him halfway across the parking lot, and they got his ass. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and I felt so horrible for this, but I stayed up all night. I didn't sleep, tracking him, seeing what jail he was going to. I watched him go from city to county, and then I was on it. You know what I mean? I didn't sleep the whole night. As soon as the fucking bail bondsman's opened in the morning, I got him a bail bondsman. He called me after his first court appearance. He's like, oh, I got a bond, blah, blah, blah. I was like, listen, I already got a bondsman on the way up there to get you. You know what I mean? Just sit tight. And I bonded him out. I did the right thing. Mm-hmm. And then, like 2 or 3 weeks later, the bail bondsman calls me, and he's like, you can come pick up your money. They dropped the charges or some shit. Yeah, something weird happened in the court. I don't know if it was a clerical error or what happened, but they just weren't going to prosecute it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I got my bond money back.
Wow.
So we're thinking it's all good. My brother's like, oh, I skated on that one. I was like, yeah, you got lucky. Well, about 2 or 3 weeks later, we get a knock on the door early in the morning. And it was one of those. So I knew it was the police, because the police only fucking knock one way at fucking 7 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Nobody else is beating on my door like that. So I opened up the door. It's Coral Springs Police. There, it's Christopher Boseak here. and he was in the room asleep, but he had his room door closed. And I was like, no, he's not here. He's in the cop. He's like, where is he? I was like, he went to Michigan. He took off and went to Michigan yesterday. And the cop's like, do you have any ID? So I went and got my ID, gave it to him just so he can make sure that I wasn't Christopher. And he said, oh, well, good thing he did take off because he's got a warrant out for his arrest. And I was like, and I told the cop, I was like, I got my bond money back from that. He's like, yeah, well, somebody picked up the case and so he can get a warrant out for his arrest. So I went and woke him up like, dude, fucking police were just here looking for you. He's like, oh man, that was almost my freedom. And he took off that night and went to Michigan. And he got caught up in Michigan, like I think 2 weeks later at a Target. And that's when the whole thing unfolded. So then he got jailed up there, and then he had to get extradited back down to Florida and the whole thing. So after that whole thing happened with him, he was done. Like that was the end of it for him. Like once he got caught, you know what I mean, Coral Springs, and went to Michigan and went through that whole fucking shit. I think after that he was done. Like he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get a degree, I'm gonna, do what I gotta do. So he was out of the life of crime and pretty much away from me at that time. Like after that, we went our separate ways. Like he took off and went and did his thing, and then I made carding my life after that. But yeah.
Did you see the Wikipedia page on him?
My Wikipedia page?
Yeah, there's a Wikipedia.
I don't think I did. Did we?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Send it. We can pull it up and show it.
I'm doing big things. I got my own Wikipedia page.
That's pretty legit. Did you make? Did you make it?
This is the mastermind. This is
You
my
made his
my PR.
Oh.
This is my PR right here.
No, I didn't.
This is my publicist.
Who set
okay?
it up?
No, I mean Wikipedia. What do you mean?
Wikipedia is user is
Listen,
the users.
you got to go. There's a whole process you got to go through.
It's
Like it has to get
user-generated.
verified, and you got to send in documents, and they got to
Yeah.
verify, and they got to make sure it's legit. I'm trying to get that blue check on Instagram right now.
Ooh.
Then I'm really fucking doing things.
So after you and your brother split ways, what did you do? Like did you?
I
like
just
shift
continued on,
shift
man.
into a higher gear and start
kicked
going
it into
hardcore?
high gear. Yeah, I made it my business. I just every day I'd wake up and that's all I thought about.
And this is the point where you're making getting these $200,000 orders every week.
At this point, I'm not really doing shit. When me and my brother separated, I really wasn't doing much at this time. Like I was making money, and I was making cards, and I was doing all right. But my operation was still pretty low tech.
Okay.
And then me and Chris went our separate ways, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to get better equipment. I need to figure out,
And you had all the VPNs. You were staying under the radar.
Yeah.
You were being extremely smart.
Yeah.
About not getting caught.
Yeah.
At what point did you hit a level to where you're starting to get worried?
When I started doing 100 orders a month.
I was gonna say Secret Service showed up. Well, I mean that was I was
quite a few times. I would go to grab a package. I'd be at my Dropbox store to go pick up a package, and I somehow they would be in there looking for me or something. I would be coming in or going out, and I'd be like. And then another time I was at I think I was at a Borders bookstore or something like that, using their VPN, and one of my VPNs had failed on me. Like I thought I was being protected and I wasn't. And so
you would be using public Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Public Wi-Fi with a VPN with a SOCKS. You know what I mean?
Shit.
I was using Russian proxies. Like I was doing Russian sites where they would just list all these proxies. And this is back in the day, so you would have to get all these proxies, and then you'd have to run them through a checker one by one to make sure see if they were valid. Because there was only certain windows that these VPNs that these proxies were valid for, and then they would be no longer valid because the IP addresses would cycle and everything would get changed.
Right.
So it was like I had to go through and use all these checkers and manually input the IP address. So yeah, my VPN ended up failing on me, and I didn't know it. And I was at a Borders books, and this was the Borders books I kept using. And this is my mistake. I just got comfortable. And I kept going to the same place. I mean, I did these big comfy chairs, and I had my own little corner back away from everybody. You know what I mean? This is my fraud corner. This is what I do. I go here, I sit.
Corner, I like that.
Yeah, it's my little fraud corner. So this is my spot.
Yeah.
VPN failed on me. And yeah, they just got hip to me, and they tried to come to Borders. I think they walked into Borders one day. The same, was it Secret Service agent?
Secret Service.
Yeah, the same Secret Service agent that I had seen at my Dropbox place.
How do you know he was Secret Service?
Well, you can always tell.
How?
They got the high and tight. They wear the fucking the cargo. They wear the cargo pants, the tan cargo pants with the tucked in polo, with the fucking what do they call those?
The
A lanyard. The lanyard, right? The lanyard with everyone. If you Google image fucking what, they all look the same.
Really?
They all look the same. Yeah.
What's on the lanyard? What's hanging off the lanyard?
The Secret Service badge.
They wear the badge like
and they tuck it in.
I thought you got. Didn't
But they pull it out when they, you know what I mean? And
they have it ready for when they
yeah,
confront
exactly.
you.
I mean, I can smell police. I can see police a mile away. You can always tell when somebody's police.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you're doing fraud and that's what you're watching for.
Were you like? Did you?
I didn't know he was Secret Service.
Okay, you didn't know he was Secret
Obviously,
Service.
I didn't know he was Secret Service until I seen him come into Borders, because the only people that got pulled with IP addresses and with that kind of organization to be on you like that would be Secret Service, because FBI and Secret Service, but FBI doesn't deal with that kinds of things.
Okay, Secret Service.
Secret Service, they deal with all financial
and
crimes,
you saw
all
this
counterfeiting.
shady-looking dude who looked like a cop, and what did you like?
He carried himself like the cop. He was dressed like a cop. So
that
when I
made
was
you super suspicious,
right, so I had I had something called like an HQ. So I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like a virtual office where you can they can do employment verification. You can have packages shipped there. They could do mail. They answer phones for you. So I had one of those, and I was running packages out of there or whatever like that. So I was going to pick up a package one day, and I think I was coming out of an elevator, and I had seen them walking into the office. The police. I'm like, man, this something just hit me in the gut, and something just did not feel right at all. And there's couriers that run in and out of the building to pick up packages or whatever like that. So I had paid one of the couriers to go and grab my packages for me at my HQ. Okay, and I went and sat in the parking lot. So when my courier comes out with my packages, sure enough, the Bobo looking motherfucker and the dude that was with him grab him.
No.
Yeah. And that's when I knew right then and there that something was wrong. But I didn't know it was my VPN. You know what I mean? I thought that maybe it was just, I didn't know how or why.
Sorry.
At that point in time.
There's I was just thinking about the FOIA that what's her name has to get. That what's her name? So there's a possibly, let's just say the doc.
Yeah, I'm working on a little something right now.
Yeah.
I'm working on a little something. I got a little something cooking, maybe.
Yeah, there's a documentary, right? There's a documentary producer that is going through the whole thing, and she just got
Freedom of
Information Act. Like, I got a bunch of stuff, but keep in mind, I can only get so much, and she's like she's a
investigative journalist,
right?
Yeah.
So she just got like a fucking ton of documents in, and like I've been talking to her, and she sent me a thing the other day. She's like, they just mailed them to me. They said it was too big to fucking email or something, and we were talking about that earlier. He was like, that doesn't even make sense. But they had to, maybe they're sending it to her on a thumbnail or thumb drive or something. I don't know, but they're mailing it. I was just wondering, like, I wonder what's going to come up.
Yeah,
what's going to come up?
It's going to be interesting
because like I got a ton of documents, right? Like I got a ton of stuff that showed up as I was ordering the documents that are showing up, verifying this is true. This is true. I'm dying to know. And I sent it to her. She was like, this is amazing. I'm wondering what additional stuff she came up with. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
making a movie about you, John?
A documentary.
I hope so. Yeah, hope so.
Yeah. Well, they got to sell it first.
Yeah.
They're going to like Netflix or somebody. But
wow.
I was
going to ask you that. I'm like, is there already a movie made about you?
No.
We're working on it. We're trying to get a deal made.
The chick already, they make documentaries for Netflix. They actually are making one right now for Netflix.
I think they just sold something to Netflix.
Yeah. Well, for sure they sold it because they're down here. Shooting it? Is it here? You know what's funny? Like she told me Sarasota, but then she wants to meet you in. Anyway, she's in Florida. They're in Florida right now, and they're supposed to meet with him. But I was just wondering about that when you said that. I thought, fuck,
Freedom of Information.
I'm dying
It's interesting to see because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, I don't know how they knew what or when to be where when. Obviously, because I'm not on their team.
Right.
So when you get all the Freedom of Information Act shit, it's all in there. Like all the reports, all the documents, everything's in there.
Yeah,
so
every
interaction, any piece of paper that's attached to my name that has anything to do with any of these cases, there's paperwork on, and all of that can be released through Freedom of Information.
And keep in mind, I couldn't get everything. Yeah. First of all, he was gone. He left way before me.
Yeah.
How many years? You said it today. You said it's been 5
I haven't.
years.
Yeah, it's been 5 years since I've seen you. Yeah.
But you left.
I got out in 2015.
Oh yeah, fuck. I got it in 2019. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So, but I'm saying, I was just thinking, like, it was funny, all the different things that, like, when his brother's police report, when his brother got arrested, like, I have the whole police report. So I know, like, he used the car. You know why his brother got caught?
Why?
When he went up, he goes back up to Michigan and starts karting again.
Who does? His brother?
His brother. Yeah. Remember, he went on the run. But he starts karting again in Michigan. He had got caught, got released in Florida, and then goes back up there, starts karting again. And then when he was karting, he uses a card. So he uses a card, buys something like fucking for like, he ran it up for $4 or $5 grand. I think I actually have.
Was it that much?
Yeah, I actually have the. Well, not just at Target. It was throughout the day.
On the same card.
Yeah, same card.
Okay,
it was
yeah.
because I actually have from the bank, where it's like whatever, 3,900 or 4,200, whatever, like around $4 grand. He ran up this card. Well, here's the funny thing. So the card. So he gets the stuff and he leaves. Well, the woman gets notified by the bank saying, "Hey, your car's been run up," or whatever. She goes, "Okay, well, oh gosh, this is all around here. This Target is right up the street." She calls the Target and they're like, "Yeah, I know. Oh, okay, yeah." And she's like, "Okay, well." She talks to them and they're like, "Yeah, there's nothing we can do." They call the police. They go, "Yeah, just fill out the police report." And she goes, No. It's right down the street. They have surveillance cameras. I want you to go down there and look at she throws such a fucking stink. She makes the police do their job.
It was a Karen.
They actually.
Yeah, it was definitely a Karen.
They actually get up. They drive down there. They look on the surveillance photos. They actually get the name because his brother used his own ID with the strip, and they actually get his brother's ID. They look in the phone book. Find out where he lives, go there, open the door, it's fucking swag everywhere. They open the door and fucking, it's him. The cop just saw him on the,
swag?
Stolen merchant, whatever. It's
an older term.
I've never heard
It's a boomer term.
You've never heard swag?
I mean, I know it's swag. Swag
it's a boomer term.
Not in that context.
So it's basically there's all his places filled with fucking with stolen stuff or whatever stuff.
Piles of fucking gift cards.
Yeah, and he arrests him right there. But I mean, it was the victim wasn't willing to just roll over and go, okay. Yeah. She was like, oh no,
she put up a stink.
You go down there. You look on the surveillance photo, and that's the article. There's a huge article that was written up about his brother.
Wow.
Talking about. They make it sound like it's like a big deal and stuff. It's like it's $4 or $5 grand, but. So anyway, I'm sorry.
So that's when your brother first got busted.
Right. No, second time.
That was after me and him got ran out of Walmart.
Oh, that was after.
Yeah.
But I have that police report. Like I have the police report of the interviews, of the screenshots, of the cards, of the everything. So I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I kept getting in, and then like the time you almost got caught, buying a gun in the. Like I was getting documents in the stories that he never even told me.
Yeah, here in Tampa.
Yeah. He didn't even tell me. Like literally, I'm reading this Hillsborough County Sheriff's report, and I'm reading the report, going, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I had a warrant out for my arrest, a federal warrant out for my arrest, and I didn't know. And I'm at a gun store, and I'm trying to purchase a fucking firearm, and they're doing the background check on me. The police are on their way up there to arrest me, and I just finally get sick of fucking waiting around. I'm like, you know what? I'm over it, and I leave. And I 10 minutes after I leave, 5 minutes after I leave, the sheriff show up to arrest me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they call him.
Yeah.
Like, you understand? I was in prison when I got this report.
And I completely forgot about this whole thing.
And I was on the phone calling, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, I got a report in." And he's like, "Oh, yeah. I left. They wouldn't give me the thing. And
I was wondering why they were acting weird. After I gave him my information, I ran my information. The dude was acting fucking kind of strange behind the counter because I guess he knew the police were coming to arrest me. You know what I mean? So something just didn't sit right. Man, I looked at my wife and I was like, "Man, we gotta get the fuck out of here." Something's weird.
The cop even wrote up the phone call when he called him. He's like, "Hey, is this John Boseak?" He goes, "Nah, man, my name's Jay," or whatever you said. He said, like, "My name's Tom," or whatever.
Brian, yeah.
Right, yeah. He's like, "Nah, you got the wrong number, but this isn't it." And he hangs up on him. But the cop writes up the whole thing. And so I tell him that. I'm like, "You never told me that story." He's like, "Yeah, I remember. Wild. That's right." I mean, there was all these things that were coming
We were talking about this earlier. I was like, and years later when I got busted, I got arrested. I got I was in Hillsborough County Jail, but I was on a federal hold. So federal inmates don't get held at Hillsborough; they get shipped out to Pinellas, and they hold all the federal inmates at Pinellas. Well, they did then. I mean, they had a contract. I'm not sure if they do anymore, but the dude, the cop that came to pick me up from Hillsborough to transfer me to Pinellas was the same one that came to arrest me at the gun shop, and he's like, I got there 10 minutes after you left. I was coming to arrest you. And that's what he told me.
Yeah, the sheriff's deputy got there first.
Yeah.
That's the report I got.
Okay.
But he's saying that the Secret Service agent, they also showed up.
I think he was like a U.S. Marshal or something like that or something. Yeah, I don't remember who was transferring me, but he was like, I was the one that came to arrest you. But I just barely missed you. And he's like, I went to whatever address you put on the application I filled out for the background check or like the gun form or whatever. And he's like, yeah, it was just like a vacant apartment or something. And I was like, yeah, I have a habit of not ever putting where I live or any proper information on anything. And it's hurting me now because now I'm like a legitimate like citizen of, in society, and I'm trying to like function properly. And it's like, I've got all these habits where I just don't put down wrong phone numbers for shit. I don't ever give my address out where I live. I don't have my driver's license registered to the address, my physical home address. I don't put any utilities in my name. I just, because I'm used to living life on the lam. I'm used to fucking always having warrants or,
that paranoid lifestyle.
Somebody chasing me for child support or some shit. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I got a couple of those. I've been ducking those for a while.
Jesus.
So yeah, and those habits now are really, they're hard for me to get out of.
How long has it been since you got out?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, I've been out 5 years.
All right. So at what point? At some point between from when you first started noticing these Secret Service agents hovering around you, you figured out who they were.
They were getting close.
They're getting close.
Yeah.
So now you must be getting like way more paranoid because these fucking guys are on you. Yeah. Like they know who you are.
Yeah.
They're trying to find. They know what's going on online. They know how to fucking. They know the technology of the VPNs and whatever. They know what you're doing on the forums, the buying and selling of stuff.
Yeah. I think at this point they knew who I was and what I was doing. They just didn't know who I was.
They didn't know what you looked like.
They didn't know they didn't know who I was.
Right.
Yeah.
How many did you have a bunch of fake identities?
Oh yeah. I mean, I could print driver's licenses.
Right.
And I had access to hundreds of thousands of people's information. At any given point in time, I could buy. I mean, I had contacts. I could call somebody and be like, listen, I need 500 first name, last name, first name, last name, date of birth, and social security number.
So Matt Cox, you were basically like the beta version of John Boseak.
Matt Cox was he's the analog version.
The analog version.
Matt Cox was doing everything analog. He was actually going to homeless people and acting like he had a survey and having them, write their information down. You know what I mean?
On the ground.
He's like the dial-up.
He's the dial-up version. Yeah.
Boots on the ground.
Wow. That's fucking.
Yeah, I'm actually going in the bank, filling out paperwork.
Yeah.
Getting it out in cash. He's filling it out online. Yeah. He's having it transferred here.
So at any given time, I could be anybody I wanted to be because I could just make the driver's license. And even if I didn't, I know how to steal identities. So I could just go to I can get anybody's birth certificate. All I need is your first name, your date of birth, and your social security number. And I can get your background check. I can pull your credit file. Once I do those two things, I can get your birth certificate. Once I get your birth certificate, I can go straight to the DMV and I can get a driver's license in your name with your birth certificate. So now I'm whoever I want to be.
Right.
And that's that's relatively easy. That's peanuts.
Does he know about what you had to go through to get people's identities?
Oh yeah. And you know what?
Getting homeless people's social security numbers.
He loves to do this. He loves. He's like.
What do you think about what he was doing? Because he was finding homeless people, saying that they needed to fill out surveys to get their social security numbers. Like,
Matt's a megalomaniac. That's what enabled Matt to do the things that he did. Plain and simple. He's a narcissistic megalomaniac that he just, that little governor that people have inside of them that tells them not to do certain things or not to talk to people a certain way. Matt doesn't have that. Yeah. He doesn't have that governor. He doesn't have that filter.
I'm all better now, though.
No, I mean, but what do you think about that's the actual process that he had to go through?
I wouldn't.
To steal people's identities.
I couldn't. I would never do that. If that's what I had to do,
it seems like so much work compared to what you were doing.
Are you kidding me? There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. I would never, in a million years, ever do something like that. I would break in. I would, do a commercial burglary and get into a fucking file system or something like that before I even thought to do something like that.
All I have to do is survey them. You just walk around the pad. You just, hey, excuse me, I'm taking, I'm walking through the park.
And you get $20 bill. You say, I'm doing surveys. I'll give you $20. We're trying to figure out where we want to put the next. We say American Cross. Or
next.
How it go?
Homeless, just homeless. You can say homeless facility, but basically Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Worked for the Salvation Army. I had a badge.
And I'd asked him. I said, how many people actually gave you the real information? He said, all of them.
All of them. Almost. I'll bet you maybe one or two people gave me something bad. Almost never. And even then, like I had one guy who gave me his date of birth he gave me was off. Like he switched, like he thought he was gonna fool me and I'm gonna change my date of birth. It doesn't matter. When we pulled the credit, the real date of birth showed up.
But that's a super inefficient way of stealing somebody's identity.
Well, it's actually
compared
smart.
to what you were doing.
Well, it's actually smart because these people are fucking homeless, junkie, drug addicts.
Yeah, they're not going to show up.
It was creative.
Let's say
they're not going to show up and say, "Hey,
they're never going to show up to court. They're not going to know if somebody's doing anything with their name or anything like that because they're fucking crazy and homeless."
Yeah, the bank's not going to call them and say, "Hey, somebody's using your credit card."
It's more work,
right?
And it's less efficient than what I was doing. I mean, obviously, my work.
More money though. I'm borrowing $1 million in this guy's name.
It was also a different scam, though.
Yeah, completely different.
I wasn't. When I stole people's identities, I wasn't doing it to for any kind of financial gain. Like I wasn't using their name to build a credit report or take loans out or go into a bank or anything like that.
Right.
I was just using it so that, and when I went to go do my dirt, that people didn't know who I was. Like say I was going to open a UPS store, box at a UPS store. That's when I would make an identity. Or I was going to do like an HQ, like the virtual office or whatever.
You were just doing it to cover your tracks.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about eventually? I don't know if you want me to help you along here.
Oh, of course, yes.
So eventually, you went to Rock Hill.
Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yeah, where you get pinched, right? So
that fucking backwater hick ass town. I should have never fucking.
Where was it?
Unbelievable,
South
man.
Carolina.
Rock Hill, South Carolina. Yes,
South
sir.
Kakalaki.
Yes, sir. Them fucking rednecks.
Why
up
were
there.
you there?
Unbelievable. The girl I was with at the time, that's where she was from. She's from South Carolina. Her family's from there, and
A little Southern Belle.
yeah. And for whatever reason, we decided to leave Florida and take my son and go to South Carolina. I'm like, listen, I can do what I do anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we get up there, and that was the nail in the coffin.
Really?
That was the nail in the coffin. That's what sent me to prison. Was eventually my decision. Yeah, that was it.
So how did that play out?
Right. So when I send out packages, I just go into a UPS store, and because I pre-print my labels, so I just go into a UPS store and I hand it to them and give them $5, and they scan it and they send it in the outgoing mail and it goes out. Which is cool because in South Florida there's 10,000 fucking UPS stores. I mean, you literally put in your GPS and you get all day long.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
So I never have to go to the same one twice, and I could do this for months and months and months and keep rotating. Well, where I was, there was 2 UPS stores, and that was it. So I had to go to the same UPS store to send out my packages when I was sending them out. The same UPS store. So eventually, the old man that was running the UPS store, I didn't know at this time that they're all franchises. I mean, I know that. I knew that. I didn't know that. So the old man that worked at the UPS store was the owner of the UPS store. And I was going there, 3-4 times a week, sending shit out. And they're going all over the world. My shit's going to, Europe, South America.
The documentary chick, Caitlin, tracked him down.
Yeah.
She's actually already tracked this guy.
This chick is thorough.
She don't fuck around.
Listen.
Yeah.
She lives here in Florida?
No.
She's from New York.
Yeah, she just happens to be here. But I'm saying, I just want to mention.
We should have got her on this fucking show.
She worked for.
Yeah.
Who'd she work for? Time.
I don't know if she's specifically worked for them, but I know she has stuff published with like People Magazine. I believe.
People. No,
right?
she worked. For, No, she did. She worked for People.
Okay.
Yeah, until just she quit to go start her own.
She's
thing.
doing her own thing.
She did for like 5 or 10 years or something. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Really?
She was an investigative journalist. But I'm sorry. I mean, but I just thought it was amazing because that's somebody she was like, oh no, I already
How did
tracked
she
him
find
down.
out about you? From Matt's story?
From my story.
Matt, yeah, from Matt.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was investigating.
Matt plugged me in.
Donovan Davis, and so she went through. She was reading this stuff on my website. Well, no, on the YouTube channel, and then on the YouTube channel, she came across Boseak's story.
Yeah.
Bent. So that's the first one I put up. So she came across the narration on my story.
Has 26,000
yes,
views
please.
right now on YouTube, by the way. 26,000 views on YouTube, by the way.
So it's
putting up real numbers.
So, So on my my channel, she saw it and she read it and she contacted me and she goes, "Okay, who's this guy?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this." She's like, "Okay, well, at the end of the story, he disappears." And I went, "Oh, no." I said, you gotta get his book." I said, "There's a book you could." He shows up. I explained he did disappear, but then I said he had actually gotten arrested and then did some time and got out. I said, "I've contacted him." She goes, "You're in contact with him?" I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, okay." She said, "Can I get you can put me in contact with him?" I said, "Yeah, I can get you his number and everything." Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, okay." So, at that point, you weren't working for Tesla then. That you were at the end of the book.
I was living in L.A. at this time. I had moved from San Francisco to L.A.
Yeah. So I gave him her number because we talked when I was in the halfway house. So I still had his information. So I gave him his information. She contacted him. She came back to me. She said, "Will you be interviewed?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be interviewed." And she goes, "Well, do you have all the information on him?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" She was super stoked about it. She's like, "This is great. This is an amazing documentary." Because, we didn't get into all the fucking times he got grabbed and handcuffed, and we didn't get into all that. But
so how did you get busted in South Carolina?
Right, yeah. So pretty much the old man was just a nosy old fuck. You couldn't, you know what I mean? So I dropped the package off one day, and he opened it and went through it and seen what I was sending out, and then he called the Postmaster General, and then the Postmaster General contacted the Secret Service.
He also, keep in mind, he's walking in all tattooed up. This is a little town.
Oh, you had the tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a little town in South Carolina. He thought he was sipping drugs.
Driving a nice Cadillac and shit. Yeah,
he thought he's sipping drugs.
Tell me the story about when you decided to get all the tattoos. Didn't you have to? Did you try to buy a Rolex or something? And you got.
Oh yeah.
You got locked in a closet or something at the mall.
Not in the closet.
And then you
have security.
Yes, like one of those little rooms, and then you climbed through the ceiling to escape.
Yeah. Through the drop ceiling. Yeah.
Tell me that part.
The tattoos.
Was that before or after you got the tattoos?
I've always had tattoos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I started getting tattooed when I was young. What? Rockstar?
Yeah, Rockstar. That's
I think it's over here.
Oh yeah.
It's covered up now. It's covered up now.
I can still see it though. I can see it.
I know. If you're looking for it, you can see
it.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that the dollar bill thing or
It's the Illuminati, brother.
When did you get that fucker?
I just did my whole head last year.
Damn.
Yeah, I just started going really hard on the tattooing, but I've always had tattoos. Yeah, I started getting tattooed extremely young, probably 14 or 15. I think I got my first tattoo, and then I did my first tattoo when I was like 16 or
Your
17.
own first tattoo?
Yeah.
Like you tattooed yourself, or you tattooed somebody else?
I tattooed somebody else, and then it was just like an obsession after that. Yeah, like tattooing and just like getting tattooed and doing tattoos and everything.
Tattooing in prison.
Yeah.
You were tattooing people in prison?
Yeah.
With a fucking needle?
Oh,
shit,
we were making tattoo machines in there, man. Out of fucking.
Whoa,
we had little motors.
dude.
We were taking out of shavers and
They're burning fucking ink and making
our own ink. Yeah. I got into it, man. I mean, that's how I make all my money now. I'm a full-time tattoo artist now. Yeah.
I would walk by
a
fucking cell there. What's up?
Yeah, Matt would walk by like, oh, yep.
They got lookouts and
dude sitting in the chair watching for the police. Yeah. So I've always been obsessed with tattooing, and ever since I was a kid, because I grew up in a rough part of town, with rough cats, and everybody's always tattooed.
I got the impression from the story that you just got the tattoos so you could look.
I started getting heavily tattooed later on
because you feared you'd go to prison and you wanted to have more tattoos.
Yeah, that's part of it, I guess. Yeah. That's Matt's
spin on
Matt's sofa psychiatry, I think.
Spin? Which what you had said. You had said, "Fuck, I knew eventually I'm going to end up in prison." You had said that.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm not a very big guy. You know what I mean? I've always been small, and it's just like I wanted. At first, I wanted. You were way
smaller then too. You're bigger now. When we met, you were even in prison. You were thin. You were way thinner. Yeah. Probably weighed 135, 145 pounds when I met you. What do you weigh now?
160, 165.
Oh, he was probably 135 when I met him.
Yeah, 130.
5'7".
125, 130 going into prison. Going to federal prison. Tiny little dude, yeah. So I was like, I got to do something. You know what I mean?
Better to have face tats.
No.
I didn't have any of this when I went to
You
prison.
didn't?
No, nothing
You
on
got
my
it all
face,
after.
nothing on my head, nothing. I think I had.
Yeah, you had the
I
neck.
had my sleeves.
And you had definitely had the neck.
And I had
you
my
had the
neck.
neck.
No, I didn't have any of this. I
No,
just
no,
had
no.
the two sides.
Just the sides, yeah.
I had the two sides, and then I was sleeved up.
And the sleeves.
Okay.
For sure.
And then when I got out, I was like, I'm not fucking getting a 9 to 5. I'm not doing it. So it's either going to be tattooing or I'm going back to prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just went ham. I went fucking ham, and I went crazy.
Yeah.
But it works for me.
Yeah,
it works
it
for
does.
me, and I make really good money right now tattooing.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
I have a friend who just got into it. She just started apprenticing at a tattoo place up in Tampa. She was a graphic designer too.
Okay, yeah.
She did graphic design.
Oh, there's a lot of graphic designers,
Luke's
tattoo
wife.
artists.
Yeah,
Luke's wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
She just started apprenticing, or she,
Yeah, apprenticing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been tattooing pretty solid for about 10 years, I think.
Really?
Yeah, about 10 years, solid.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. So now it's just like that's my bread and butter now. I mean, I get to wake up every single day. I have the best life ever. I get to wake up every day and do whatever I want to do. I get to wake up every day and just go to the gym and work out and eat breakfast and hang out. You know what I mean? And get on the computer and draw a little bit.
Yeah.
And schedule a couple tattoos and
Yeah.
then go fuck around with a girl over here. You know what I mean? It's just whatever I want to do. My day is mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not a fucking wage slave.
Mm.
You know?
Mhm.
And I'm lucky that I figured out a way out of it.
Do you own your own shop or what? How does that
I'm
work?
working out of a private studio
Okay.
right now. Yeah.
Okay, so you
Yep.
rent a space or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, he just moved to Arizona.
You just moved to Arizona from LA.
I had to get the fuck out of LA, man. LA was
Everything closing down, huh, from
dude,
COVID.
LA is an absolute fucking shit show.
That's what I
man.
hear from everybody.
They're
I
killing
talk to.
cops out there. They're burning cop cars. They're fucking looting. They're rioting. They're protesting. Everything's fucking shut down. I mean, it's fucking $4 a gallon for gas. I was paying $2,100 a month to live in a fucking not even that nice of an apartment in Anaheim, fucking Orange County.
Why would you want to fucking live there, dude?
It's unlivable.
insane.
Just is unlivable. It's just not.
The homeless
It's
are
done.
It's insane.
I've
Yeah.
never. Well, you know that because we talked.
Yeah.
When you were in LA.
California is a democratic liberal fucking shit pool.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
pretty
Fucking
bad.
Plain and
needles
simple.
and homeless people
Yeah.
shitting all over the streets.
Yeah, and then you've got these fucking multimillionaires getting out of their Rolls Royces, stepping over 3 fucking homeless people to get into a restaurant to pay fucking, you know what I mean, $200, $300 for a steak dinner and a $500 martini. It's the whole thing is just
Yeah.
fucking absolute insanity.
I was
It's
saying, like,
absolute insanity.
in Florida.
Yeah, and I lived in sorry, to
That
cut you
never
off,
happened.
Matt.
Never happened.
I lived in fucking San Francisco for 2.5 years.
Isn't it worse there?
Oh, it's worse.
Yeah.
San Francisco's way worse than LA. I mean, they both have their own problems, but San Francisco
Yeah.
was
In
a
San
fucking
Francisco,
nightmare.
same thing downtown.
LA 's
I was in
fucking
downtown LA and I've been in downtown San Francisco.
Yeah. And
San Francisco downtown is worse.
It's funny because there's so many beautiful parts of California too. Like
California's
San
a
Fran-
beautiful state.
Like
California's a
like
beautiful
San
state.
Diego
Yeah.
and La Jolla. is
Shit, I
so
mean,
nice
I
down
lived in like Orange County. Like so, when I lived in LA and then I moved to Orange County and I was living out by Huntington Beach. And Huntington Beach is
amazing.
It's fucking amazing. You go out there,
Love
you hang
Huntington.
out. Then,
Yeah.
you know, you got the beach, you got the restaurants, you got the shops. Everything's cool. You know what I mean? But then you got
LA's just like a fucking dumpster, dude.
yeah, it's a bummer, dude. It's the tent cities, just the homeless down there. It's just. It's off the charts, man. You mean
Everybody's leaving.
literally every building you walk into, you're accosted by a homeless person. Every gas station, every 7-Eleven, every place you go to, there's somebody literally covered in filth, half naked, screaming at nothing. And you think I'm trying to be funny. I'm not. That's a physical description of every fucking homeless person in Miami.
Bro, you know what?
what I mean?
You know Soft White Underbelly? Did you ever talk to him? Mark?
Yeah, he's coming on the podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love Mark.
He's coming down here.
Mark's 60-something years old and
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, soft white underbelly, dude. His channel is amazing.
Oh, he's great. So you know where his Skid Row in downtown LA?
6th Street, yeah.
He's got a studio he rents
That's
down
where
there.
his studio is. So when he interviews people, I've watched the interviews, right?
Can you hear crazy shit going
you
on?
can hear
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
You can
Oh,
hear
yeah.
like sirens and I was watching.
Oh, that's
it,
constant.
And
Yeah.
I was sitting there looking at because they're beautiful. The interviews are beautiful.
They're amazing.
They're amazing. The photography's phenomenal. And I'm watching and I hear the sirens and I go, wow, that's neat that he must put that in there. And then I got down there and did my thing and I was like,
Dude, I
oh,
been
you
down
didn't
there,
put
yeah.
this shit in here.
It's pretty rough down there.
This is 10 feet outside the door. 2 homeless guys screaming at each other.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
15
Dude.
feet. There's a fucking
Yeah.
police.
He's got an interview with this dude, this black dude who had half of his face blown off by a shotgun.
Oh yeah.
Horrible,
Yeah, I watched that interview.
horrible. It's horrible, bro.
I watched that interview.
And the dude's like actually,
and he's homeless.
He's homeless, but he's
Yeah.
actually like got his shit together. He can actually, he's coherent. He's
Yeah.
lucid. He can talk about
And he's like
shit.
a good dude.
Yeah.
He's like a good dude. He's like, man, I always try and help people out and fucking, you know what I mean, do right by people. And
Yeah.
he's like
Horrible.
missing half his fucking.
It's fucking insane how that guy's
Yeah.
still alive.
He's done multiple interviews with that guy. I think.
Has he?
I think he's done one, and then he did one a long time ago with him, and then all of a sudden, like years later, he like did another one with him.
yeah. he
I may be
went to
wrong.
a-
I don't
Mark's
know.
got
I'm
a
just
great
talking
story.
shit.
And
I mean, just the channel story. I don't
And
know.
he
his
went to where did he go to? Somewhere in Tennessee where he interviewed this inbred family.
Yeah.
That's like one of
I
his
fucking
biggest
just
stories.
watched that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's the dude. Okay, I've been watching his
Did you see
videos
how
all
many
week
hits that-
long, man.
You see how many hits that thing got?
The one dude that just barks like a dog in the
Yes,
background.
he barks and he's like, "What happened to your brother? Where's your brother?" And you can
That's all he
tell-
does, and you're like, oh my god. these
And you
people
can
are
tell the
fucked
dude's like
up.
trying to communicate to him. He's understanding him, but he can only bark like a dog.
That's it.
And then he walks across the street, and there's a fucking grave. They buried his brother right
Yeah.
across the street from the house, like
Yeah.
in an empty
Oh, yeah.
fucking field.
Yeah. It was wild,
Fucking
man. Hey, did you
imagine.
watch that one? Did you watch? Oh, you
But I've
gotta check
seen-
that one out.
I watched.
That's a good one.
I literally like turned it on for like 20 seconds. I went, oh, I can't watch
The
this. I can't
inbred
watch
family
this.
from
It's too
fucking.
freaky.
Where were
It's
they
too
at?
freaky.
I thought it was
It's in the
somewhere
Midwest somewhere.
I thought it was in somewhere in Tennessee.
Was it? Oh, it was Tennessee,
I thought maybe not.
I don't know.
Kentucky or Tennessee.
Appalachia,
It was
I don't know.
Kentucky or Tennessee. That's maybe Appalachia should be Kentucky. Yeah, one of the two.
Well, I mean, you want to wrap the he got arrested in.
Oh, sorry, we got on a tangent.
Yeah,
Let's get
got
back
arrested.
We can get back on track.
It's all right, man.
yeah.
We're just
Anyways, this
hashing
dude,
it out.
this fucking crazy old dude who worked at a UPS store.
Yeah, he
cut open your
um,
package, found your credit card.
Yeah, he contacted the Postmaster General. Postmaster General contacted the Secret Service, and then I got an email one day telling me I had a package waiting on me, which I did actually. I had stuff coming in and out, and I get there, and I walk up to the counter, and I'll give the old man points for this one. I'll give the old fucking bastard points for this one, because I couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm.
He was not even shook.
Really?
He played it cool as motherfucking cucumber. When I went up there, I signed for my package. It was just like normal. It was like an everyday, you know what I mean, transaction with him. And I'm pretty good. Like, I pick up on subtle things like that. I can tell if somebody's nervous. I can tell if something isn't right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when I deal with somebody on a regular basis. But no, he played it cool. I'm going to walk out the door, and the door swings open. And I didn't see the dude's face. I just seen a badge because he had it on his belt. They were in, like, plain clothes. And he had a badge on his belt, and that's what I seen. And then I went to go walk out the door, and the other dude blocked the door. And I was like, fuck. And that's when it all just came. That's when it just came flooding. Like, my stomach fucking dropped. Like, I immediately, my armpits just started, like, turned on the faucets. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the fucking nerves just started
Yeah.
going crazy. And they were like, Ryan Pearson. And I was like, yeah. And he said, what did he say? He said, we need to talk to you about what you've been sending out of here. And I tried to play stupid at first, but he said Ryan Pearson, so I was like, okay, well, obviously he doesn't know who the fuck I am. And I tried to play it stupid at first, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he gave me that look, and I was like, all right. He's like, well, why don't you come in the back? He's like, come in the back, because there were people coming in and out of the store, and she's like, why don't you come in the back and talk to us real quick? So I sat down. He's like, they're like, so what have you been sending out of here? Because he's like, we have your package you sent out of here. We know what you've been sending out of here. And then that's when literally the movie Blow flashed in my head. And I remember when he was sitting, and you've seen the movie Blow, obviously, when he's sitting in the room, and he knew it was a setup at that time. He's like, he knew it. And he just sat back in his chair. He was like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it. And that's what I said. I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it. He's like, what's your name? I was like, John Boseak. And then he's like, what you been sending out of here? I was like, credit cards. And he's like, all right. And then he's like, I had to explain to him what I had been doing. And of course I minimized every fucking thing. You know what I mean? I minimized the shit out of that situation. I was like, okay, in my mind, I was like, what do they have?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What do they really have?
Right.
500 cards? Okay. That's what they have. So I gave them, I gave them what I kind of felt like I already knew they thought they knew that I didn't know that they knew, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was trying to be slick with it. And so I just told them, I fed them what I thought they were like, okay, they know I've been making cards, so I'm going to tell them I've been making cards. I'm not going to fucking tell them how long I've been doing it,
Right.
or how much how many cards I've been doing it. Obviously, I'm not going to just be like, okay, here it is, I've been doing everything, and I'm not going to tell on myself. So I gave them enough to I felt like satisfied them. So I agreed to. He gets on the phone with his supervisor. He's on the phone on and off. He's got BlackBerry. He's sending email. He's making phone calls. I'm like,
What year is it now?
2009.
Okay.
And
BlackBerry.
yeah, he's in the
Did
BlackBerry.
Crackberry.
Yeah, those were Blackberries. Well, all the feds use Blackberries.
Yeah, I
back
think
then.
they still use them.
iPhones.
Oh, do they?
They're all,
they
yeah,
iPhones?
they're all
Okay.
iPhones now. But yeah, they used the Blackberries back in the day. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I agreed to let them come to my my home and search and seize all my equipment.
Oh man! You
So-
should see the list of the seizure list. Like when I got it,
Yeah.
it's
For
multiple.
the freedom of information.
Yeah. Well, and it's on your indictment. No. It's on the indictment.
It's on my indictment. Yeah.
Where they list like, I was just this Fargo or this thermal printer, this like multiple MRS, like it's like 3 or 4 laptops. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Like, hot foil, press machine. But it's like why do you
And
need
here's
3?
what fucking blew me away out of this whole situation is they didn't arrest me. I didn't go to jail. They fingerprinted me and took my picture out. They fingerprinted me in the back of the UPS store. Then they made me go out in front of the UPS store and they made me stand and they took my picture and they turned aside and they took my picture. And then they had a bunch of paperwork faxed to the UPS store and I signed all of it, letting them, okay, I give you permission to search my home. I give you permission to, whatever. This is before we even went to my condo. They put me in the back of their car, drove me to my condo, and they went in and they spent about 4.5 hours tearing that motherfucker apart. Just 2 dudes. Actually, it was 1 dude that was doing all the searching. I was sitting in the living room and the other dude was just sitting in there with me. And to these guys, I'll give these guys credit. They were cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, under any other circumstances, like, these weren't, like, bad dudes. Like, some cops are fucking pricks.
Right.
You know what I mean? They talk down to you. They talk shit to you. You know what I mean? They tear your shit up. You know what I mean? These motherfuckers were kind of cool. You know what I mean? They were in my closet. I had like 300 pairs of sneakers or something like that. And the dude was like, he kept coming out there. He's like, dude, I really like your fucking. He's like, we were talking about like Jordans, and she was talking to me about my sneaker collection while this other asshole was in there fucking tearing up and going through all my computers and shit. And then, so yeah, they searched my whole place. They confiscated anything with a removable storage. I think they say anything with removable storage. They took it. So any hard drive, any cell phone. Laptops, they took. I had a safe in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
I had my safe in the bedroom with a bunch of money in it, fucking ammunition, fucking. I had like 1,000 cards or something like that printed. Because what I would do is I would get ahead of myself. Like if I wasn't busy, I would just be bored. I would just print and make 1,000 cards,
Just in case you got a new
blanks,
order. Right?
Just to stick them in the safe, and then if I needed to, I would go ahead and boss them and code them, and just streamline the whole process.
Right.
And then So yeah, they confiscated everything, took my safe, and he gave me a card. And I had guns at the house. They didn't take none of my guns. I had my concealed weapons license. I had firearms all over the house. They didn't take any of them. I had weed at the house, and this is South Carolina.
South Carolina, okay.
Illegal.
At that time,
Marijuana's
well, I don't
illegal
know.
in South
Is
Carolina.
it still illegal?
Fuck yeah, still. They're fucking them hicks over there. They ain't legalizing
That's the Bible
that
Belt,
shit.
baby.
Yeah, that's the fucking exactly. That's
He
the
was
Bible
balls
Belt.
deep in the Bible Belt.
And
Yeah, you said you. I mean, you had told me. I remember you had said they were like, anything we should know about. And you said, "Oh, well, I've got guns." And they were like, "Well, we're not the ATF." And
yeah, he's like, "We're not the ATF."
yeah.
And I was
And
like,
he's
"Well, I got a little bit of weed too." He's like, "Well, how much weed do you got?" And I was like, "Well, it's not pounds. It's a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I smoke every day. I have been since I was, a little kid." But yeah, they didn't take the weed. They left my drugs and my guns. They only wanted the credit cards and all the equipment and everything. And then he gave me.
And he didn't arrest you.
They didn't arrest me. He gave me a business card, and he gave me a date on the back of the business card. He said, "I need you to be here on this date. If not, you're gonna have a warrant out for your arrest." And so yeah, I had to go to the Secret Service headquarters in Columbia, South Carolina, and I walk into a room, and there's this long fucking table. And I walk into this room, and there's like 8 dudes sitting around the table. And in the middle of this table, they got all these screenshots laid out in front of them of Carter.su, of fucking all the Carter forums I was on. They had screenshots of my posts on the forums. They had screenshots of all my fucking people who I had been dealing with. They had screenshots of ICQ chats with me. So apparently I had been chatting with the Secret Service. Like they were buying cards from me.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know any of this.
And they still couldn't fucking track you. They still couldn't find you.
No, well, man, I was bulletproof. Yeah.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
they still didn't arrest him.
And they still didn't arrest me.
they
So I go down there, right?
Well,
so
he
I
hasn't
show
been
up.
indicted yet. Do you see what I'm saying?
So are they? What are they trying to do?
Well, they have it. They got to put together a case.
Yeah,
and he hasn't.
So they're
been indicted.
they're trying to build their case.
And this is just a theory of mine, but they thought they got the little fish, and they were trying to get the big fish.
There was a big fish, though.
There was a
Just
big fish to get.
Just not in the United States.
Yeah.
You know, which would have
So
been
they were
shoulder
using
surfer.
you to build a bigger
Well, they're
Rico
hoping.
case.
They
or
were
something?
hoping that I was gonna pop the lid off of some kind of
big conspiracy,
big multinational crime ring, fraud. Which I mean I was a part of, but I didn't have the keys to unlock that door.
So you were just
You know
a
what I
pawn
mean?
in their eyes.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Yeah, shoulder surfer is just a fucking like a.
weren't
some
you,
guy
weren't you
online. He
dealing with
can't-
like the Russian mob?
That's shoulder surfer.
Yeah.
Shoulder
I didn't
surfer
know
was-
until later that's what was going on. Like I had no clue until after. Until I fucking put two and two together and figured everything out. And I'm like, oh shit. That's pretty fucking intense, man.
Shoulder
like, you know what I
surfer
mean?
was part of the Russian fucking mafia.
Yeah.
No, probably
Either he was plugged in or they used him because he was a tech guy or I don't know how.
He ran.
That's what he was.
They use all kinds of. It's not like he's a made guy.
That's
or
what I was.
anything.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, I know he was over there doing. But that's what these kids do over there. I mean, it's been going on over there that's where it actually started at. It started in Europe, way before it came over here. I mean, they had the chip and pin system over there years before we did over here.
Do you remember talking about
fucking years?
Do you remember talking about that when I was asking you about like that? Because when we were talking, where they were just implementing the chips,
the chip
in
and
the
pin
United
system.
States, and I was like,
Yeah.
bro, man, they're gonna come out with those chips, and it's over. And you go, pfft. They've been making them fucking chips forever. What are you fucking talking
Europe,
about? You don't need them.
we're 5 to 10 years behind Europe when
Yeah.
it comes to all that shit. Yeah, so they get everything
And it
first,
doesn't-
and it trickles down to us, because we're what do they call that?
What?
A
Antiquated?
corporatocracy.
Corporatocracy.
Yeah, that's what we are here.
Slow to.
But where were we? Yeah. So that's basically.
Anyways,
that's
so
how it
yeah,
went down.
they brought you in
And-
with a bunch of people. They weren't arresting you.
No, they weren't
what were
arresting
they
me.
trying to do?
They were trying to figure out who I was, who I knew.
Trying to get more people. Take down.
Yeah,
more
I had to
people.
give up all my passwords to all my emails, all my ICQ chats, all of the forums. So I'm sure that then they were like, if you log on, we'll know. If we see you on any of the fucking forums, we'll know. You know what I mean? Blah blah blah. We'll come and arrest you. So I was like, it is what it is, and they didn't take me to jail. It was weird, and and they just after I went there and I met with all those people, and they were asking me all these questions. I got interrogated. Do you know this person? And they show me this. They're like, do you know this? They show me screen names. Like, do you know this person? Do you deal with this person? Do you speak Russian? Do you code? All this shit, and
Do you code?
yeah. They want to know if I was like, they want to know what my spectrum of knowledge I think was, to try and to see where they could implement me, because there was this whole, what was the name of the operation? Remind me, Matt.
Well, open market.
Open market. Yeah, there was Operation Open Market going on at this time.
What's that?
Isn't that
Matt can explain it a little bit better than I can, because Matt, you actually researched it. I didn't really do
because
it.
Basically there was a Carter.su like. Carter.su was the one that the main forum that he was using, and so what happened was keep in mind, after he left, I'm still getting documents in, so things he's telling me happen.
Wait, when you say after he left,
After John left prison,
okay,
I had written a synopsis, and I had like 60 pages of notes, right? 60, 70 pages of just notes. I might have had 80 pages of notes, actually. So I wrote a synopsis, which was maybe 20 pages. Well, no, it was like 15 pages long. That's the one that's the one I sent you. That's on the my YouTube channel. Okay, and it's on and the website. So that's a short version. Then I wrote the book. So I had already decided I'm going to expand this into a whole book because there's so much good shit here. So I start getting stuff in. I got the indictment, the Carter.su indictment. I'm pretty sure it's open market. Yeah, it's open market. Dark market was the other one. Open market. So Carter.su was being run out of Russia, and that was the forum. And the Secret Service had an investigation into it, and it was called
Operation Dark Market.
No, Open Market.
Operation
Open Market, where they indicted I don't know what they indict, 150 or 50 people, something like 50 or 100 people, whatever, and a whole bunch of John Does and that sort of thing. And that's when, remember he said, So after he left,
Yeah.
the UPS store, I'm sorry. After he leaves South Carolina, they let him go. He's interviewed. Like, there's a lot of little things. Like, I didn't know. Like, he just said they took pictures of him in front of UPS store. Like, I didn't even know that. I was like, when he said that,
It was like a booking.
Yeah, but in front of the UPS store. Like, I didn't know that. Like, I'm thinking that's kind of, they turn, what I'm saying.
Yeah, right there.
Like, I didn't know that. I remember the thing where the blow thing, because I mentioned that in the book, the blow thing where you said that it flashed through your head. Anyway, so after he leaves there for South Carolina, he goes and gets some cash, and he gets money out of the bank, right?
How much money did you have in the bank at this point?
About $200,000.
Okay.
My BOA.
So he, no, I think he's talking about the money that was in like U.S. Plastico, like in the fucking couple million.
What was U.S. Plastico was what?
The U.S. Plastico account?
Oh, yeah. At this point, yeah.
So U.S. Plastico?
Right.
Remember, that's the fucking A, my eye is, I think I just rubbed something in my eye. Oh, okay, sorry. He laughs.
When are we talking about now?
We're talking about in South Carolina after the Secret Service lets you go. And you go to Miami.
Yeah. I had a little over $2.5 million or something like that in the bank at this time.
Yeah. But he goes and gets a couple $100,000 out of the bank. And then he gets like $100,000 or so in cash he had.
Weren't you were cool with keeping $2.5 million in the bank at this point? Like, you got a Secret Service on your ass?
Well, the account wasn't in my name, obviously.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
I set the account up.
So you didn't feel like there was any risk in keeping.
There was no risk. There was no risk at all because it was a corporate account.
Okay.
And
a corporate account that was in a business's name that you were not affiliated with.
Exactly. Yeah. That I had set up under
a fake identity.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he grabs
money laundering 101.
So he grabs some of the money.
A fake fucking person's got a bank account with $2.5 million in it.
Yeah.
So he grabs some of the money, goes back to Miami. Obviously, there's a warrant out first. Well, I guess they.
No,
they
at this time there
indictment.
wasn't.
No, there wasn't then, but they indict you.
They wait. Yeah.
Yeah, they waited like a couple of years.
They
right.
waited like 3 years
Yeah.
to put a warrant out for my arrest.
Right.
I thought I had fucking
3 years after that.
I thought I had gotten away with everything. Because
Remember he uses his real ID to go in and buy a gun.
Because listen, at this point, I thought I was going to prison. I'm convinced that I'm going to prison.
Right.
But after so long,
You know what I mean?
3.5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So
How old are you at this point?
late 20s. Oh,
Okay.
maybe mid 20s, 25, 26, 27. Yeah.
Okay.
Went to prison when I was 27. So
yeah.
yeah.
So he goes to Miami.
24 years old with $2.5 million in the bank from credit card fraud.
Listen, you
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
How many fucking Cadillacs have you owned?
Oh, all of them.
I mean, ridiculous.
I did. Yeah. Now it's Mercedes.
Well, you worked at a Chevy manufacturer.
Chevy.
No, I
Chevy.
worked for GM. I worked for General Motors when I was like 19.
Yeah.
And then I watched all the dope boys growing up driving Cadillacs and shit. You know what I mean? And then I finally got my
On
STS. But not so much the Dunks. Them are like the older. 60s, 67s, 70s. There was like the 70s, from the 70s. I'm more like 80s.
Okay.
80s muscle cars, like the dope boys, the Cutlasses, the Regals, the Monte Carlos, you know what I mean? And then I started getting into like the Caddies, like STS, the CTS. I had them all. I had a DeVille, had the DHS, had 2 DHSs, had 3 CTSs, I had 4 STSs. I had a red one, a white one, a black one. Wow. Yeah.
Gave a fucking Cadillac away to some stripper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why'd you give it to her?
Suck good dick.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth a Cadillac.
I don't know about that. But anyway, so he goes back to Miami and goofs off for like a year, and that's when you met. I forget. What was the
Russell,
rich kid's? What was the rich kid's name?
Oh, not my wife. You're talking about
the rich kid.
Giovanni.
Giovanni.
Yeah, Giovanni.
Yeah.
Who is Giovanni?
Euro trash. This fucking this kid I met in Miami Beach, this fucking trust fund kid, living off his dad's money, and just Euro trash, strip club, fucking cocaine, partying, you know what I mean? Just that type of dude. But he was plugged in everywhere. He knew everybody.
Really?
Every fucking buddy, dude. He knew everybody. Like he had a badass fucking condo at the top floor of this building on Brickell in downtown Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And
Brickell's amazing.
Dude, we used to party.
Like I've never been to Brickell.
I remember
before,
going to his.
I got out of prison.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember going to his place and partying, dude, with like Brooke Hogan.
It's like financial district.
And
That's
fucking,
amazing,
dude, a
man.
lot of fucking people would be there just fucking hanging out, and I'd walk in, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? You know what I mean? It's just wild shit. The chick from, that one chick from Orange is the New Black.
You mean American Pie.
Well,
blonde
she
girl.
was, She was in Orange Is the New Black as well.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, what's her name? I forget.
Natasha Lyonne or whatever. Is that her name?
I don't know.
No. She's a comedian actually. She's actually a really funny comedian. No, it's something like that.
So who is this
But
kid?
yeah,
Giovanni. What was his deal?
Giovanni, like I said, he was just a fucking Eurotrash, you know. But he.
What was his connection?
Oh, nothing.
To you?
I was just saying.
Just a random dude.
I was just saying
nothing.
that
But yeah, that's just like part of the wild shit I
yeah,
went.
because
in
he
Miami,
basically
but
went for like a year.
There's so many characters like that guy in Miami. I feel like.
Yeah, he went for like a year or so and just didn't do anything. Like didn't do anything but just basically hang out with Giovanni and
party and blow money.
Party and blow money, but then the money ran out.
Blew a lot of money. Yeah.
And then he started carding again. That's when the second indictment. That's why I was saying I got another indictment in. Remember okay.
Do you think if you wouldn't have started carding again, you would have never gone to prison?
Well, there still would have.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a warrant, you know, at that time, so I was going to prison. Yeah. It was inevitable, you know what I mean? I had a mandatory minimum, by the way, a mandatory minimum of 24 months with aggravated identity theft. Oh, okay. After I got everything, you know, reduced down. I mean, I was looking, they wanted, there was like 110 months, 10 years, like what, 150 months?
120.
120 months. That's what I was looking at initially. Was 120 months. Yeah. At 25, I was 26. Yeah, so I would be almost 40 by the time I got out.
So he started carding again. Went back on the forum, started carding again.
That's all I knew. That's what you know what I mean?
Because he basically ran on money.
You weren't working, you were just spending all the millions that you had.
Yeah, I was running through it pretty fast.
So he starts carding again, and that's when you guys jumped. Like we've been jumping back and forth. Basically,
that's
remember
lot of strippers and
it's a lot of cocaine and strippers.
Cocaine.
Yeah, well, I was flying private as well, back and forth from Vegas to,
oh yeah, you were flying private. How much money were you fucking blowing on private planes?
Well, you get a package. Like people don't know this. You get like a package. You pay them like 120 grand, 100 grand or something like that. And
were you doing the timeshare thing?
You get so many hours. So you get so you pay X amount of dollars. You get so many hours of flight time.
Timeshare, yeah.
You get so many hours of flight time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's basically what I was
doing.
a
bunch of people will basically throw in money on a bunch of planes or whatever.
Exactly.
And it's way cheaper.
So it's not you know it's not like I was.
It's not like owning your own jet.
No, I didn't have I didn't own my own private jet.
That's
I flew private.
Stupid. That's such a waste of fucking money.
Well, I mean, unless you got
private
jet money.
Unless you own an NBA team.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes these guys have ridiculous.
Or if it's like a write off or something like that, where you can business something like that shit. But no, I was doing that, and so yeah, I was flying. I was doing Vegas a lot. And I was going back and forth from like Fort Lauderdale to Vegas, and I was doing like the Miami Eurotrash scene, and it just it was just getting out of hand. You know what I mean? It was just all getting completely out of hand.
Just like piles of cocaine and hookers on private planes flying to fuck.
I don't know, like it wasn't like that crazy. I mean, I think
like Scarface.
I think I only took a stripper on a plane like one time. Yeah, it was all fucked up, and I had a town car come pick us up from Scarlett's Cabaret and drive us straight to the Fort Lauderdale Executive fucking airport and hop on the fucking.
That's in Miami. And when he was in Miami, that's when he got caught. Remember the thing when he told you about Brickle or about the courier? Because you guys jumped forward. I was going to say something.
Say it.
But
say it.
After he started carding again, that's when he went to go pick up a package at an HQ, and he saw the Secret Service agent.
Yeah, we skipped around a minute. Yeah, we skipped around a lot.
And so that's when the courier got grabbed.
And that's when then when he came in, also when I was in like the Border bookstore, and I seen the same dude that grabbed the courier come in.
Right.
And that's when I knew my fucking VPN was bullshit.
Right.
That's when I knew whatever I was doing, I wasn't doing something right. I got sloppy.
Right. And so he went to Temple Terrace.
All this happened after I got caught the first time by the Secret Service.
Yeah. So that's when he went to Temple Terrace. Yeah. Remember he said he got grabbed in Temple Terrace. So that's when he left Miami, went to Temple Terrace, which was where I grew up, by the way.
Where is Temple Terrace again?
Temple Terrace is...
What state?
Tampa. It's just outside Tampa.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's like the ghetto side of Tampa.
Basically, people think Temple Terrace is kind of like a suburb, but it's actually its own little city. But yeah, it's basically...
It's like Hillsborough. Yeah. Hillsborough and fucking...
So he was there. That's when he gets arrested for the final time.
Yeah. And that's when they sent you to Coleman.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. So, I mean, I know we were jumping around back and forth.
Yeah.
But that's when he got arrested in a Cadillac. It's like every report I would get in, Cadillac.
I just think it's so fucking amazing.
I put that one in the river.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't even tell him the story.
Yeah.
Like I completely fucking forgot I put a Cadillac in the river full of people.
No, you
and then I didn't even tell Matt the story or something. No, wait. I think I had mentioned it. I don't remember fucking how it happened, but he got a police report. And then he was like, "Oh, I just got this police report. It said you put you drove a car into something."
Told me,
and I was like, "Oh yeah, I fucking forgot about that."
You did tell me that. You had told me over lunch one time. I didn't write it down. Like I didn't write it down in our note. Like when we were taking notes, I didn't write it down. He just happened to tell me one day he was driving his buddy's car. It was your buddy's car.
No,
and
it was my Cadillac. It was mine.
I don't think it was a Cadillac. It wasn't a Cadillac at all. You put in the fuck.
I had a Cadillac at the time. That's right. It was my. I had a Grand Am.
Yeah, and so
that's right. Yeah.
He raced a car.
GT.
And jumped it into, lost control. Jumped it and it went into like a canal or something. And so he had told me this story, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, when I ordered all these documents, I happened to get this police report in, and I'm reading and I'm like, the fuck is this? And I was like, this is when he told me he was racing his buddies. He's like doing donuts in the or driving around his.
I was playing Tokyo Drift through the apartment complex.
Yes, yeah, they were trying to see how you could drift, and he ends up. That's right. They were playing a video game or something, and talking about fucking drifting.
I was Tokyo drifting through the fucking apartment complex.
Hit the curb.
Right where you pull up into my spot at, there was like like the little parking block, and then there was like a hill and a canal, and I was just going too fast and fucking down the hill into the canal.
And I read the cop report.
We were all drunk.
Sure enough.
Car full of girls. I was trying to fuck this one girl. That totally fucking turned her off for the night. That kind of killed the whole mood. Killed the whole mood for the night. And fucking bummed me out. But yeah.
That's hilarious.
But there were all these little ridiculous things that he had told me that I would get these documents in. And at that point, you were in that halfway house, I think. And I'd call and he'd answer, and I'd be like, "Well, what's up with I got this thing?" And he'd be like, "Oh yeah."
I think it's so fucking crazy. How much time did you do total in prison?
I think
federal prison.
It was almost about. It was 24 months. Yeah.
24 months.
Yeah.
So 2 years.
It's 2 years. Yeah.
I think it's so fucking wild how much shit that you did and you only got 2 years.
Well,
are you thinking the 24 months? You're not including like the halfway house.
Because his victims,
that's halfway house included.
His victims.
Well, you did. Oh, you got. Well,
I got 6 months halfway house.
Not with me. What about the second time when you got arrested?
Oh, yeah, after I got out.
Yeah, you got out. You got arrested. You're not including that.
So you went in for 2 years in the Coleman.
About 6 months.
Okay, so
9 months.
So that's 30 months.
This is 30. It's about 3 years then.
Yeah.
Altogether.
So you did 2 years in Coleman, got out, and then you started carding again?
Yeah. I started fucking around again right as soon as I got out of halfway house.
And this was after Matt met you, wrote the synopsis, and he was trying to call you.
Yeah. I got out and started fucking around again.
And then you got 6 months.
You were talking on the phone, he just disappears. Talk on the phone, he's like, yeah. Just one day, phone's fucking disconnected.
And listen to this shit, dude. So I go back through my Connect, right? I call my dude from China, and I got holograms coming in, right? After I'm living in Miami. I just got out the halfway house. I'm in a fucking studio bedroom. I'm in a studio apartment, and I was living in like Little Havana or something like that in Miami.
What happened to the bank account with all the money in it? It was completely depleted.
It's gone. I don't have access to it. Yeah, I don't have access to that.
What happened to it?
My debit cards and all that shit got thrown out. My wife, because we were getting pulled over. Like, so when I got picked up in Temple Terrace, I thought for sure they're gonna come to the house and search.
Right.
When I got picked up.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was unaware that I had a warrant from the other shit from years prior or whatever.
Right.
And that's what it was for. So when I told my wife, I was like, listen, as soon as you get home, get rid of everything. Whatever I have there, just get rid of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Dispose of it.
Okay.
And because I thought they were going to come and search, and if they would have found all that shit, I'd still be in prison. Mm-hmm. They would have built a prison and named it after me. Mm-hmm. So, so yeah, she went home and she got rid of everything. She fucking just destroyed everything, threw it away. I don't know what the fuck she did with it. And so I go to jail, and I was in jail for a little while, and then I come home, and I was like, she's like, I got rid of everything. I was like, good. Like, where are the debit cards?
Did they ever come to search for it?
No. They never came to my house to search because the warrant wasn't for that. I wasn't getting picked up for that like I thought I was. Mm-hmm. I thought I was getting picked up for that, for specifically what I was doing at the moment, but it was for what I had already done. And
it's to clarify, the warrant that he was being picked up on was for the South Carolina arrest, which they'd already confiscated all of their stuff.
Right.
He's thinking it's for a second indictment out of Nevada. So he's thinking they're going to come to the house
I had
again.
more equipment.
But they don't come
and
to
you
the
already
house.
had bought a shitload of more equipment.
I had all new equipment.
You had all kinds of
I
cards.
I
with
read
money
up.
on
I
them.
read up and went for a fucking second run. Yeah.
Okay, so you
I was trying to do the big dirty.
You call
know
your
what I'm
wife
talking about?
up,
Trying to do the big
So
dirty.
She tossed all the cards.
and what'd you do with all the equipment?
She tossed it.
Threw it away. So you came home after going to jail for how long?
I was only gone like a week or something like that, a week or two.
And
So
you're
I had to
looking
go to court and then all that shit.
So
to
all
get
your
out.
money is on all these different
debit cards. It was spread out
cards.
and all these different debit cards.
How much money was it?
I want to say I know the BOA for sure had over $1 million in it at the time, and then I maybe had maybe 120,000 spread out throughout the Western Union cards, because I mean I had close to $3.5 million at the beginning, but I went on just a rampage, like a 2-year rampage almost, and then I met my wife in Miami, and then I calmed down and I tried. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna go straight now.
So all of those cards, the million, 1 point whatever million,
Gone.
just gone.
Poof. It up and vanished like a fucking fart in the wind, and there was nothing I could do about it. And believe me, I'm still sick to my stomach to this day.
What was your
Yeah.
reaction when you found out she threw everything
I
away?
snapped out, but it was just like, my initial reaction was I snapped out, and then we sat down and we had a conversation about it, and it was like, I tried to go and look where she said she threw the stuff away at, and the garbage had been taken out. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking about going to the fucking landfill and digging through fucking, like, I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, all these ideas are running through my head, like, this can't be it. Like, this just can't be it. This can't be the end of it. This can't be the end. This can't be it. And it was over. It was fucking all over. Yeah. It was all over.
Going to the landfill, that's extreme.
Yeah, you're never gonna.
People have done much worse for fucking
Have
less
they?
money for half that amount.
Oh,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
So I'll go fucking dig through fucking piss and shit. You know what I mean, to get those goddamn debit cards back. But they were just gone. Everything was gone, and it was over. The ride was over. I had literally no money, like nothing. I had maybe 10,000 in cash in a fucking shoebox somewhere, and that was it. And I was going to prison. And I was out on fucking
that's another
supervised release.
And they let him out on bond again. That's what I don't understand. I can't get fucking bond. They let him out. They grab
keep
him.
letting me out.
They keep letting him out. They let him out again, and then he doesn't report. He stops. He goes to fucking Michigan. Went to Michigan.
Yeah.
Came back, and then eventually they catch up with him. How long after they caught up with you? I forget. It was a month or 2 months or whatever.
I don't remember. It wasn't that long though.
They raided your uncle's. Was it your uncle or cousin?
Yeah, my uncle called me. He's like, dude, the fucking U.S. Marshals just kicked in my door.
Like,
And I was just like, he's like, dude, I just got done burning. Then my fucking OG calls me up. He's like, dude, I just got done burning. The fucking U.S. Marshals kicked my door. And I'm like, fuck.
I got the Marshals report for that. Like, they staked out.
Did you?
Yeah, they
Okay.
staked. That's why I said that's one of the reasons I wanted to go back and get the document to show you. Remember, you say you
He's
said
like, dude, it was a bad trip. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, man. Fucking, I don't even
Killed
know.
my buzz.
He's like, dude, it was a bad trip. I was like, dude, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't know, you know? I'm sorry.
you would probably know. Like, looking at the documents, they sat out some fucking guy's house. They're staking out all these fucking houses. He
They
had gone.
thought I was at.
Yeah, where he's not even in Michigan. He'd gone there, came back, and then they caught up with you somewhere.
So what do you do after you fucking have this coming to Jesus moment where you realize all of your millions of dollars are gone and you have nothing
It was
left?
all downhill after that. These are the bad times.
Is that when you started fucking, what happened?
Yeah.
Now what happens?
Dude, I'm broke. I got fucking, I'm married. I got a kid that's not like 9 months old. I go to prison. I'm broke. I go to prison. And it was, I lost everything, dude. Everything I had, all my cars, everything I had. Like I don't know, all my sneakers, fucking, I'm like, in prison, I'm like, okay, at least I'm gonna get out and have some gear. You know what I mean? At least I'm fucking get out and have fucking a little something. You know what I mean? Some clothes, some shoes, you know what I'm saying? So the fruits, all the shit that I had fucking got with all, you know what I mean? At least I'll have that when I get out. Nah. All fucking gone. Yep. Wife got knocked up by some other dude.
No.
Swear to God.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I get out. I'm in the halfway house.
Were you still talking to your wife when you were in prison?
I remember when
she didn't really write me that much. She never came. I didn't get one visit the whole time I was there, the whole 2 years. She wrote me like once or twice.
No, you were getting email. She was emailing you.
Yeah, but those got cut off after a minute.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, whatever. You know what I mean?
Did you worry about it when you were in there?
No, I wasn't. Because every time I talk to her, she's like, baby, everything's fine. I love you. So to give her a little bit of credit, thank you for that. You know what I mean?
That kept you kind of
Thank
sane?
you for not shitting on me. Like, listen, I'm fucking this dude right now. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah, at least, you know what I mean? Don't fucking tell me that shit. You know what I mean? At least fucking, you know what I mean?
I can see that.
My time was a little bit easier. I mean, I didn't really have that
good.
much time,
Yeah.
but whatever. And, yeah, I get out. I'm in the halfway house. She's got some dude living with her at her fucking mom and dad's, right? I'm fucking her as soon as I get out of the halfway house. The day I get out, I'm fucking her. And she's going back to this dude she's got living with. That's my wife, dude. We're fucking married. We have a kid together. What are you doing, you fucking retard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So she's still with this dude, and I'm still fucking her. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. So she dips out. Like, one day she just disappears, and she goes to fucking Nebraska. She disappears to Nebraska, and I'm on federal probation at this time because I just got out of halfway house. I'm on federal probation, and she just disappears. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm in Miami. I'm working at this warehouse in Miami, and it's grueling, man. I mean, I'm having to wake up at 3:00 in the morning, and I was living on like 12th and Flagler in Little Havana, which is like right by like Miami High School, which is like kind of like by downtown, but not really. Like you got to go down Flagler a ways before you get downtown Miami. And so I had to walk every morning because I didn't have a car. So I didn't have shit when I got out of the halfway house. I didn't have nothing. No money. I came home to nothing. No nothing, dude. I had like fucking one pair of shoes that I bought while I was in prison. From prison commissary, fucking Nikes. You know, this is.
You can buy Nikes in prison commissary?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, they're not nice.
I'm
They're not like fucking retro Jordans or anything. I mean,
I still
they're
got
like
socks and T-shirts and shit from fucking prison.
Really?
I still wear.
Oh, I fucking got rid of all that shit.
Fucking still wear.
You
'em.
buy LeBrons in prison?
Nah, they're not cool Nikes. You know what I mean?
Nah.
They're not the good ones. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But they're Nikes. So yeah, so I'm rocking prison Nikes. You know what I mean? I'm getting up at 3:00 in the morning, and I gotta walk all the way downtown Miami from 12th and Flagler, and dude, that's a rough part of town in Miami. That's a fucking pretty rough part of Miami. And at 3:00 in the morning, there's no buses running, so I gotta walk all the way downtown at 3 in the morning because I gotta catch the very first train that leaves downtown Miami that goes all the way to fucking Hialeah, which is an hour train ride. But I gotta catch the first one because I gotta be to work at a certain time in the morning. So I gotta catch the first train to go an hour to catch a bus to ride a bus an hour to go to work. To work fucking in a warehouse for 10, 12 hours a day and then have to run that whole fucking back again all the way to the house. And I was doing that as soon as I got out of prison. You know what I mean? I'm used to driving brand new fucking cars and doing whatever the fuck I want to do. And now I'm a fucking cockroach down here in Miami doing nothing. Mm-hmm. So it was like I could only take a couple of months of that. And I was just like I was at my breaking point to where I was like, listen, I'm gonna kill myself. Like because for me, look at me. I'm fucking tattooed. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have an education. I have my associate's degree. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like I can articulate myself well, and I have a vocabulary, and I speak well. But people don't see that, and people don't give a fuck about your associate's degree when you've been to prison and you look the way I do. They just don't care.
Right.
So any kind of situation that I go into that's a regular kind of employment situation, I'm not making it fucking very high on the corporate ladder.
No.
You know what I mean?
You made that decision a long time ago.
Yeah. It is what it is. And I'm fine with that. But here I am, I have to have a job because I'm on probation. You know what I mean? I'm on federal fucking probation. And I got this probation officer, which she was really fucking cool. She didn't really give a shit what I did. But I can only do it for 2 months, and I was just over it. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm fucking over it. And I was fucking this girl from the halfway house that I met in the halfway house, and like her brother, like I started fucking with her brother, and her brother kind of was like wanted to like he kind of knew about like I kind of told him like what I had done like my past, and kind of knew about like everything, and he was like he kind of wanted to jump into it, and he kind of put up the money. He did put up the money. He put up the money, and we bought the equipment. And I fucking suited up for another run, dude. The third one, I'm like, you know what? This is gonna be the big dirty.
The last hurrah.
I'm gonna get $1 million, and I'm gonna go ahead and invest it, and you know what I mean? Open like a legitimate business and pay taxes and all that shit. Didn't go that way. She turned out to be a complete fucking psychopath.
Wait, is this the chick that stabbed you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Listen, his story, like, there's a whole other series of like he got this.
This chick stabbed me with a pair of scissors. and
How'd she stab you?
almost killed me
Where did she stab you?
in my chest. Bounced off my breastplate. Yeah, almost killed me. And then so yeah, that whole thing went pretty south pretty fast. And then so then I'm fucking with this chick, and her brother wants to, you know, get into it, and he bought the equipment. So yeah, so I ordered I contact my dude in China, and I get some holograms sent in, and they get stopped at customs because I'm tracking my package, and I can see it says customs hold on it. So I'm like, fuck, they got it, which it's fine because I'm like, it's not in my name, it's not coming to my apartment.
Right.
I get about a week, 2 weeks later, I get 2 DHL, the delivery service, DHL dudes at my door knocking. And I look out my peephole and I see 2 DHL dudes. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I open the door. Two. And he's got this envelope in his hand. It's wrapped in yellow tape. And that's anything that comes from China. I don't know if you've ever ordered anything from China, but they use this. You can see it from a mile. If you see it, you know what it is. Like anything that comes from China, like if you order bulk anything from China, they wrap it in this yellow fucking tape. You know what I mean? So I seen the package in his hand. I knew exactly what it was immediately because I had ordered holograms from this dude before. So right then and there, I'm like, fuck. And he's like, they were like, and I didn't have my name on it, obviously. He's like, he was like, this is the package is for you. And he showed me them. I was like, no, they don't live here. And he's like, you sure? He's like, how long have you been living here? I was like, I just moved in. Like,
that's already too many questions.
About a month ago. I was like, yeah. I was like, he's like, are you sure?
DHL.
Hey, he's like, okay. And so I closed the door, and he walked away, and I was like, fuck me.
They got you.
Fuck me. I'm done. I'm going back to prison. Cause listen, I just got out of prison. I just got out of fucking federal halfway house. I'm on federal probation. You know what I mean? It's all bad. It's just all bad.
Yeah.
And so he comes back to the door.
I haven't heard this. I knew he got arrested. Like we were on the phone when he said, "Fuck, they showed up at my fucking house. They grabbed me. They brought arrested. They brought you downtown." I knew that, but I haven't heard this whole thing.
Yeah, and so then I hear bang, 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 bang at the door. I'm like, "Fuck!" He's like, "Police!" And then now they're yelling, "Police!" So I'm like, "Fuck, dude!" I'm looking at the side window. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about jumping out the fucking side window and then just dipping. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm thinking in my head, I was like, I don't have anything here. I was like, they don't fucking have anything on me. I was like, all they have is this package that came to my door.
And you've already denied it.
And I've already denied it. So I opened the door back up. I'm like, I'm going to fucking ride this thing all the way out. Fuck these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who the fuck do they think they are coming here trying to arrest me? You know what I mean? I'm going to fucking talk my way out of this shit like I do everything else. I'm talking my way out of it, right? And I got them convinced at this point. Like, I got them convinced at this point that it might not be me. Like, they think it's me, but it might not be me. And but they don't know, because they don't have, I'm not registered to this address.
Oh, and they don't have your name yet?
I haven't given them my driver's license or anything yet.
Right. Okay, I didn't know.
So we're talking, we're in my kitchen. FedEx shows up with a giant fucking box.
Of what?
A fucking embossing machine.
Somebody else ordered an embossing machine to your address? That's crazy. I know. Who would do that?
While they're in there talking to you.
Yeah. While I almost had him. I almost fucking had him until the fucking FedEx fucking shows up with this giant box.
I didn't know this. That's good shit. That's good shit.
And when the box shows up, it shows up to the same name as the holograms were showing up for. And the police went out there and talked to him.
That probably worked to your advantage, though.
No, it didn't, because they went out here and talked to him. And he's like, yeah, I've delivered several packages to this address, and he's signed for them. Oh. Right there, they fucking had me.
No.
Right there, they fucking had me. Yeah, they knew. I couldn't talk my way out of it then. They knew. And I had to give them my ID, and they ran. They found out what I had just been to prison for, and they're like, okay, all right. So at this point, I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. This is it. It's all over with. I'm going back to fucking prison. All right? I just got out. I'm fucking going back. So he's like, we want the lab. They kept saying, we want the lab. We want the lab.
The lab?
Yeah, the print shop.
Because I guess they had just busted some people. Because Miami's huge for fraud.
Yeah.
Miami's like fucking fraud central in the United States. It's fucking New York, Miami, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles are like the crime hubs for credit card fraud and for identity theft and all that shit. So... fingers are turning blue, cutting off the circulation. What the fuck was I saying?
They wanted the lab.
Yeah. We want the lab. We want the lab. And So, I mean, this next part's going to fucking kind of sound kind of bad on my part.
Would you snitch?
Oh, for sure I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to prison.
Right.
I'm not going back to prison. Okay?
Massive.
Listen,
Great.
fuck
That's a
these
snitch.
motherfuckers.
Motherfuckers.
Fuck these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
my attitude.
Right.
I'm not going back to prison for these motherfuckers that I don't even know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're like, we want the lab, we want the lab. I'm like, all right. So this dude's the mastermind, I told him. You know what I mean? This dude's the fucking mastermind. I threw Buddy under the bus. I'm sorry, Buddy. If you ever watch this, I'm fucking sorry.
His name is Buddy?
No, his name's not Buddy.
Oh, okay.
I'm fucking sorry, dude. I apologize. But I wasn't going back to prison.
I apologize.
Yeah, my bad.
Who it wasn't the Secret Service though that grabbed you. It was
This was the Miami Financial Crimes Unit. So it hadn't. I was like, is this federal? That's the first thing I asked him. I was like, is this federal? He's like, no, it's not federal. I was like, okay, now I got some wiggle room. Then I knew I had some wiggle room. You know what I mean? Because if it's federal, you're done.
They're just going to indict you, and then you can cooperate, and
then
you're still going to prison. You're
There's
still going to prison.
Yeah. So if it was federal, I was gonna be like, you know what? Let's go right now.
Right.
Because it would have done me no good to do anything, but it was local, so I knew I had some wiggle room. You know, you can work with them. So I gave him the dude's fucking address, and then the dude fucking calls me while they're there. All this is happening. This was just the wrong fucking day, dude.
Yeah.
The wrong day. The dude calls me because we were waiting on the embosser to come in, and because the lab was at his house. Because I was like, that's what I told the dude. I was like, dude, I'm not setting all this shit up. I got my fucking probation officer comes over here.
Right.
She's gonna come in here and ask me questions about all this equipment. I'm not even supposed to have a fucking laptop. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Fuck.
Right.
So we had all this shit set up at his house. He calls me while they're there. I had to put it on fucking speakerphone. He's like, oh, yeah. He's talking to me, and he's like, did it show up? I'm like, yeah, it's here. He's like, come drop it off now. I'm like, I can't really do that. And they're both like, fuck. I'm like, all right, where you want to meet at? So he's had me meet him at this fucking, I don't remember what it was, like a Publix or something like that. And he's like, oh, we gotta mic you up. We gotta mic you up. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, listen, I'm not wearing a wire, man. What the fuck are you guys talking about? You know what I mean? Like, he's like, no, it's not like the movies. You know what I mean? They brought me like a fucking pager. And the pager was like a listening device. It was like a microphone. And I had to fucking wear it in my pocket when I went and dropped the thing off to him.
Yeah.
So I meet the dude at Publix. I dropped the fucking, this whole story is wild. I dropped the thing off with him. I wear the fucking listening device. Once again, dude, I'm sorry. I wear the fucking listening device. You know what I mean? I'm fucking such a piece of shit for this, dude. I'm 100%, but I'm not going back to prison.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Fuck that. I'm not going back to prison.
Right.
It is what it is, dude. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I had to wear the listening device on Buddy, and then fucking
Meet at Publix.
I dropped it off. I met with him. I drove somewhere, and then one of the two dudes that were there met me there. They followed him to his house, and then called in fucking reinforcements, and they fucking raided his house and found all the equipment, everything. They found all the equipment. So he was like, he's like, all right. He's like, you can go. The dude at the thing, he's like, you can go. I was like, all right.
He lets you walk.
He let me walk. But he's like, we'll be in contact with you. And he's like, we have to report this to your probation officer. We have to. It's by law. We have to.
Right.
So I was like, well, all right, fuck. I'm running. You know what I mean? Because now I got a little while to get back to my fucking apartment, pack a bag, and get the fuck out of Dodge. You know what I mean?
You're going to get a probation violation.
1,000%. I'm going to get a probation
definitely gonna
violation.
go back to
Yeah.
prison.
So even if the state says we won't, okay, we're not going to charge them.
I was
Federal would
engaging
be like,
in
we
illegal
don't give a
activity,
shit.
which is clearly a fucking violation of the rules of my fucking conduct, my probation. You know?
Yeah. Doesn't matter
Clearly,
if you're
they
charged
don't
or
want
not.
me fucking printing credit cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my apartment.
Or attempting or they're gonna violate you for something like that. They're gonna violate you for anything.
Right. Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. So I take off. I go back to my little apartment I had, and at this time we hadn't even started making any money yet. At this time, like I was still fucking working at the warehouse. I still really didn't have shit. I mean, I had a little bit of money because I was doing we were making cards, so I was going out and doing a little bit of store carding and shit. You know what I mean? Just to have a few dollars here and there. Because I was doing bad, dude.
Right,
I was doing fucking bad. I went up to the used car lot at the end of the street and got a fucking old 2003 Cadillac fucking DHS or some shit like that. I mean, it was fucked. It wasn't my former glory, but I was trying to get back to my former glory. You know what I mean? You ever see that fucking movie Kingpin with You might be a little bit too young for that one. It's
I
got
don't
Woody
think so.
Harrelson in it, and it's got fucking.
I know what movie you're
And he's got
talking
he's got the GTO, and he's young, and he's fucking. You see him like years down the road, and the GTO's all fucked up, and he's bald and shit. Like
Yeah.
that was me trying to make a comeback. I mean, here I am trying to make a comeback. I got the Cadillac. You know what I mean? I'm starting to break cards again. I'm doing all right. You know, but then we all got fucked up, but.
At least they gave you the heads up that they're going to notify your probation officer.
Right. So I had a little bit of time. So I go back to my condo, my apartment, and I pack a bag, and I call my cousin in Detroit, and I was like, yo, he's like, I need to come home. I need to come up there. And he bought me a plane ticket. And I drove my Cadillac to the airport, and I just left it at the airport, and I hopped on a plane because I had no intention of ever coming back to Florida at this point. I mean, I did maybe, but not in the same car, in the ssame apartment, in that, you know. So I left the fucking car at the airport, and I flew to Michigan, and I hung out in Michigan. Let me see. I got out of halfway house, and I got out of halfway house on my 30th birthday. Is when I got out of the halfway house. It was February 6th on my 30th birthday, and this was February. So by July, this is when everything went down. Was in July.
Okay.
So it was like 5 months.
Okay.
So then I go out to Michigan. And this time I was like, okay, I'm fucked. Obviously, I know I have a probation. I just absconded.
Just gotta hide.
Yeah, I just absconded from probation, and I'm gonna have the probation violation for the shit I just got popped for. You know. So now I'm like, you know, I'm fucked pretty much. So I'm in Michigan. I'm fucking partying it up, staying at my cousin's house, just going on a rampage, just drinking and
just knowing that it's all coming.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm going out with a bang. You know what I mean? And so I'm partying it up. I'm like, okay, I don't give a fuck if whatever happens happens. And my wife calls me up. She's in Nebraska. She says, I'm pregnant. I need you to come out here. I said, all right. You know what I mean? At this time, I'm like, fuck, I can go hide in Nebraska. Who the fuck's going to find me in Nebraska? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's nothing out there but corn. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
Corn and cattle.
Right.
That's it. And I go hide in Nebraska. In my mind, I'm like, that's the perfect fucking place. I go out there. You know what I mean? Settle down. I got the wife, got the kids out there. I can fucking hide, and then maybe in a few years I'll be able to work all this fucking shit out with a lawyer or something, or maybe not. So I go out to Nebraska, and that started shit show number 2. Because it was just one fucking conundrum after another after I went out, dude. This whole thing with my wife, and I went out there and. Guys are bringing flowers by the house and fucking leaving bags of sugar at the fucking door and all kinds of fucking weird shit, dude. Like, yeah, it's like, dude, this chick had every dude in this little town we lived in wanted to fuck her. You know what I mean? And they just, every dude in the entire little fucking town, because they knew where we lived.
Town.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We had nice cars, and we lived in the house on, on the main drag, and, you know, she went to McDonald's every morning for her coffee, and we both worked at these small, manufacturing plants right in this little tiny small town in Nebraska. And yeah, I mean, shit went sideways out there real fucking fast. She started, doing meth and fucking around with, scumbags. And here I am, like, I don't do drugs, you know what I mean? Like, I smoke pot, which is a drug.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm a drug addict and a liar.
You're nothing like any of these other guys.
Yeah.
You're completely normal.
Yeah, but like, I'm not doing the hardcore drugs.
Right.
I've never done heroin.
I'm
not smoking crack. I'm not fucking. I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm a stoner. I don't even really drink that much. Mm-hmm. I barely ever drink. So shit goes sideways out there, dude. So the baby's born with meth in its system. Bomb. They take our kids away. They take our kids away. Fuck. I got a warrant out for my arrest. I'm laying in a hospital bed with her. Here come 2 fucking cops into the fucking hospital room, wanting to lock her up and me up for drugs and this whole fucking thing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I didn't even know she was doing meth. Like, I had no idea she was doing meth while she was fucking pregnant.
Oh my
because I had to go and work at the fucking.
bro.
I was working, yeah. It was fucking all bad. Yeah, fucking piece of shit. So that happened, and then our kids got taken away. Find out the little girl, not mine.
Not even yours.
I knew right away when the baby was born she wasn't mine. That it was the other dude that she had living at her fucking mom and dad's house with her after I got out of the halfway house.
You knew right when the baby was born?
Yeah, I knew right away.
How?
Sorry. Yeah, I knew right away.
How'd you know right
away?
away?
I looked at her.
Really?
I looked for sure 1,000% because I knew what the kid looked like.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And this little girl looks just like that fucking kid. I mean, it's his, 1,000%. I mean, even the dates don't match up. Because when she had the baby and was like, I was wait a minute, I was in the halfway house and I remember I was like, we had sex this day.
Were you doing the math? You're like,
I'm doing the math. I'm like, this shit just doesn't fucking jive, dude. And you know what I mean? But here I am,
trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, or
well, you know, we had already had my son together, and I knew he's mine for sure. And you know, I still love her, and even to this day, I still love her. I still love her to death, and we're still married, even though I haven't talked to her in months, and we've been separated for 4 years. I haven't seen her in 4 years, and since Nebraska. So this whole thing went down in Nebraska, and you know, our kids get taken away. Excuse me. And I have a warrant out for my arrest because I just took off from after all this shit just happened down here in Florida. Let me get some water.
Shit's getting wild.
I'm parched.
yeah. Now I'm because keep in mind by this point I'm done with the book.
Right.
The book's been written. Yeah,
We're into book number 2 now.
Yeah.
Books. Yeah, like I said, this whole nother situation, and yeah. So you know, the cops, they get involved, and I got a warrant out for my arrest. So I'm like, fuck, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I'm in my head. I'm like, dude, this bitch just fucked me. You know what I mean? Like, I came out here to fucking chill, and you fucked me because you're an idiot. You know what I mean? So the fucking police get involved, and you know, sure enough, they finally figure out who I am, and they run my name. And they came to the house to get me one morning, and this is the whole thing. Let me tell you this story. So, okay, so these cops show up.
The gummies wore off.
Yeah,
Now it's all coming to him.
Yeah. Pulling teeth before. It's like, no.
Yeah. And so I'm working at this little machine shop next door to the house in this small town in Nebraska. And I'm over there at work, and I see two sheriff's cars roll up to my house, and I already knew what time it was. So I call my wife. And I was right next door. I'm like, the police are outside. I'm going to jail. She's like, what? Where? I'm like, they're outside the house. She's like, okay, just stay over there. And I was like, listen, if they know where I live, they know where I work. You know what I mean? He lives here. He works there. It's not very fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember what happened. I think they left. She told them I wasn't there, and they left. And then they drove around the back of the shop. And then so I leave the front door of the shop, and I walk into the house, and I'm fucking hiding inside the house. And like the cops are like surrounding the house now. Now they know I have a warrant out for my arrest. They know who I am. They're there to fucking take me to jail. They got the whole fucking house surrounded, dude. They're beating on the door. They got flashlights in the windows. My wife's out there just arguing with them on the front lawn. Like, he's not here. My wife, bless her heart, she's 5 foot even, 120 pounds, and she's Cuban, and her English isn't, you know what I mean? Not like ours. You can tell she's not a native, you know what I mean? So she's out there arguing with them. They finally come in the house. They finally find me in the basement. I'm inside of a cabinet. I'm hiding inside of a fucking cabinet inside of the basement. I can hear them all walking around the house for like an hour searching for me. I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out, motherfuckers. You have to come down here and find me. Hide and seek, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? You're it. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm in the basement. I'm inside of a cabinet, and I'm small, so I can curl up in a ball. And they pull open the cabinet door, and he shines the light in there, and I just stay still. And he closes the cabinet. And they was like, and they were going to walk away, and then I heard the footsteps stop, and then I heard somebody say something real low.
Oh, yeah, he saw you.
Yeah, I heard him say something real low. And then they fucking yank open the cabinet. They got the tasers on me. They got 2 of them with tasers on me. I'm like, fuck. And they're like, come out with your hands up. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to crawl out of this fucking cabinet, dude, and he just grabs my arm. They yank me out of the fucking cabinet. Dude, I come outside. I'm getting arrested, and my wife is fighting the police. She's physically fighting the police in the front yard.
God bless her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. Like, all right, she's going ham for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's fucking going ham. She's screaming. She's fighting the police. She gets arrested. They arrest us both right there. Take us both to jail.
Yeah.
Our kids were already taken away. They were in like a fucking foster care or whatever like that. We both go to jail. Yeah, so this was November of 2015 is when I started this little journey, is when I got arrested and we both went to jail and everything. I didn't get to South Carolina because I had to go back and see my judge in South Carolina because that's where my warrant was out of. I had a federal warrant out of the Southern District of Southern Carolina, Northern District of Southern Carolina. So I had to go back to South Carolina to see the judge. Mm-hmm. I'm in Nebraska. Mm-hmm. That's on the other side of the fucking country. You know how long it takes to ship a federal inmate from Nebraska?
Not good.
To South Carolina?
Days.
They don't put you on American Airlines and fly you a direct flight. I'll tell you that much right fucking now. They don't do that.
They don't do Con Air.
They do Con Air, but they hop, skip, and jump you to 10 different fucking little shithole county jails or wherever, who has the contract to hold federal inmates at that time. So that I'm bouncing around. Yeah, so I go from Dude, I'm trying to remember now. I went from Nebraska to the small town I was in. I sat there for like a week, and then I went to Omaha, Nebraska, which is the big city. It's the town. It's the big town in Nebraska, which is they handle all the big cases. I sat in Omaha for a month, maybe 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks until they transferred me. From Omaha, I went to what's the federal prison in
Oklahoma City?
No, right next to Nebraska. It's in
Indiana.
Leavenworth? Leavenworth.
Yeah, so they transferred me from Oklahoma to Leavenworth.
So sad that I know this.
Yeah.
So
Matt's
sad.
in a federal prison encyclopedia. Yeah, whenever you need information. So then I go to Leavenworth. I'm in Leavenworth for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. From Leavenworth, they put me on Con Air and they fly me out to Oklahoma, and I sit in Oklahoma in the federal prison out there for like a month. And mind you, when they're transferring you around, you don't get into general population. You're in holding. You're in holding for a month. That means no commissary. That means the little tiny toothbrush with the little tiny toothpaste that doesn't fucking work. You know what I mean? So your breath's always hot. You know what I mean? You get the little tiny deodorant because I can't buy deodorant, so you get the little tiny deodorant that's one thing and it comes out and it fucking pops and hits the floor and jumps. You know what I mean?
The one razor that just basically just cuts you and cuts you and cuts. I mean, you just have little.
Yeah, I didn't even get razors.
Yeah. Well, you got to you can request. They'll give it to you. You shave. You give it back.
They watch you use it.
Yeah.
Oh, you take the razor out and use a knife. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can pop out the razor blade. Yeah. Now you got a razor. You can fucking put it on the end of it.
Got it. Yeah,
I mean, it's fucking.
So
these guys are ingenious, but if you're just trying to fucking survive, and like I'm not involved in all that shit, my life's miserable because you guys want to kill each other.
Yeah.
So they transferred you back to where? South Carolina or what?
Eventually, I get back to South Carolina. After Leavenworth, I go to Oklahoma. Then Oklahoma, I go to Atlanta. Then Atlanta, I go to Lovejoy. Then from Lovejoy, I get fucking transferred to some other little. Listen, and mind you, through this whole process, I almost starved to death twice. Okay, they left me in a fucking room to sit me somewhere for a second while they went and did something and forgot about me for like 18 fucking hours. No fucking bullshit, dude. There was nowhere to get water in the fucking room. I was gonna die. I was gonna fucking die in that room if somebody wouldn't just open the door to see if somebody was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I get put into some little shithole fucking jail in South Carolina where they starve you, where I almost fucking starved to death. You know, so now I've got PTSD from that shit. So I finally get back out to South Carolina. I don't get back out to South Carolina to see my judge until after January, after traveling from November, getting picked up in like the beginning of November. So I don't even get to see my judge until the middle of January.
And how much time had passed in that time period? Like from when you
3 months.
3 months.
90 days.
Okay.
Yeah, it took about 90 days to get me in front of the judge.
God, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got 6 months.
Yeah, and then they killed my paper.
What does that mean?
They released me without federal probation. And
How does that happen?
My probation or my judge said that I'm not a supervisable.
Yeah, some guys
I'm a flight risk because they've had to extradite me from Nebraska to South Carolina. They've had to extradite me from Florida to South Carolina multiple times, and they're like, it's just costing us too much money to ship you all over the country because you can't stay in one spot.
Mm-hmm. And he keeps running.
And I keep taking off. I keep absconding on probation. But A, I'm not a career criminal. I'm not a drug addict. You know what I mean? I'm not somebody who is in the higher category for recidivism.
Yeah, he's not going to go into a bank with a fucking AK-47. It's not like it's going to come bounce back.
I'm not a danger to the public.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going to, I'm not a raper or a stabber or nothing like that.
Right.
Like,
so, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say a lot of guys, I've known guys that have literally they'll get 5 or 10 years. They'll have 5 years paper. They'll get paper, meaning probation. They'll get out and violate and come back to prison. And then, so they'll violate their paper and go in front of the judge and be like, the judge will, they used to do this all the time. They don't do it as much anymore. The judge would say, okay, look, you have 3 years left on your probation. If I give you if I release you and you put you back on probation, you're going to be okay. And they will, you're going to do the right thing. There are guys that'll be like, absolutely not. I'm going to violate again. Like they'll get caught smoking pot or doing drugs. They'll go, I'm going to do drugs again, Your Honor. And they'll look at him and go, well, then you're going to go back to prison. Well, then I'll go back to prison, but I'm going to keep doing it. And the judge will just look at him and go, would you rather I quash your paper? And they'll say, yeah. Okay, well, then you got to go to jail for a year. It's usually 1/3. So they'll go, you go to jail for a year, and when you get out, you don't have any probation. Okay, I'll go back for a year.
Weird.
So they'll go back for a year. Oh, listen, I got 5 years paper.
Yeah.
But the problem is I owe $6 million.
That's rough.
Yeah.
He got somebody up his asshole for 5 fucking years. Dude.
She's a nice lady, though.
She is nice. She's just strict.
Well, most of them are nice.
Yeah.
But they have to do their job.
Right.
I think the craziest thing about all this is, like, he had a victimless crime. Yeah. You basically scammed scammers. You scammed the financial institution, the banks.
Well, there were some victims in there.
Yeah, there's a couple of victims.
Some
people lost money.
You had legitimate people, individuals. You were taking it straight from their bank accounts, right?
No, these are credit cards. They don't lose any money at all. They do have to make some phone calls, and it's a pain in the ass. But look, if I take your credit card information and I run up $5,000 on your credit card, and then you get the bill in the next month, and you go, holy shit!
Right, you call them, and they
that's not me.
They chalk it up to fraud.
Right, you file a police report. The most you can lose.
You didn't steal anybody's hard-earned money.
No, really, I was just manufacturing financial transaction devices.
Right.
Yeah, that was that was the actual charge was
one of the charges.
Access to what is it called?
A fraudulent transaction device.
Yeah.
Manufacturing of a fraudulent.
That's just amazing.
Device.
Like,
which
how
they dropped
much more
those charges.
time that you got than John.
It's wild, ain't it?
Well, I mean,
it's amazing.
Well,
it is, but I was also I was high profile. There was a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
They're not going to let me skate.
Yeah.
The truth is, the truth is the people involved in my case most likely were like, if it hadn't been high profile, they would have been like, they would have shrugged it off. I would have gotten 5 or 10 years, no big deal. But boom, a lot of fucking press, hammer this guy. Him, they dropped. He's supposed to get 10 years. They dropped the charge because the UPS guy never should have opened the package. But they wouldn't drop the aggravated identity theft because they could prove that. So he got 2 years.
Yeah, I got the mandatory minimum for that, which I got
because
lucky.
the guy should not have opened the
He
package.
never should have opened the package. He didn't have authorization. He didn't have a warrant.
Those were sealed packages.
Did he get in trouble?
No.
No, but I mean, he helped me out.
Yeah.
He helped me and hurt me, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, look. They can't put him on the stand. He's got to either get on the stand and implicate himself. I opened a postal. I opened a piece of mail. Mm-hmm. I broke a federal law. So most people are probably going to get on the stand and say, I can't answer that. Or he's going to get on the stand and say, look, when I called the U.S. Post Office, I felt they were instructing me to open the package, and that's why I opened it. That gives him an out. You see what I'm saying? So and then guess what? Now. That's no good. What was in the package is no good as evidence anyway because he's saying you told him to do it.
Yeah.
So we can't. Either way, we can't use it. So his his public defender got the U.S. attorney to drop that part, and he said, okay, I'll drop that, but he's got to do the 2 years. And they said, and he came back to him, and he was like, "Fuck, 2 years is a gift compared to 10."
So dig this though. This is something I didn't forgot to tell you guys. So when I get back in front of the judge, and she's reading all my charges, and I get my paperwork back with all my violations on it, like because it's like there's different levels of violation, and in the federal system, like everything's structured. Like okay, if you fall in this category of like a level 1 violation, they can only give you X amount of months and then they have to kick you back out again. Or if it's a level 2, then they can give you X amount of months. Or if you know what I mean. So. I'm going over my paperwork, and I'm reading my report that my probation officer had left, and she said that she went to my apartment. She had called me on several occasions, and I didn't answer her calls, so she went to my apartment, and I didn't answer the door, and that the landlord had just happened to be there, like cleaning it out, and she said that I had moved, so she violated me from absconding for probation.
Yeah, had nothing.
Those 2 dudes that busted me never went and fucking told my probation officer nothing.
Really?
Never. So
yeah,
I ran for no fucking reason. I could have stayed. I could have stayed in Miami and just tried to do the probation thing, but I didn't know. And I didn't know they weren't going to say anything. That was fucking who the fuck knew they weren't going to. They didn't. Damn. She didn't know. She had no idea that any of that had even happened, and they violated me because I just absconded. Yeah.
That's fucking
wild,
bonkers.
Right? I know, dude.
We just did 3 fucking hours.
Are you serious?
Did we really?
Yeah.
Rocking and rolling.
That was amazing, man. We were rocking and rolling.
All right.
So, where can everyone listening to this and watching it find more about your story and whatever? You got any social media you want people to follow?
Yeah,
Buy Matt's book.
Yeah, buy his book.
Yeah,
He's
that's
got
my
a book.
book.
He's got a book called Bent.
Yeah,
it's
you
a
can get it on
memoir.
Amazon. Yeah, it's my memoir. Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. It's Bent, B-E-N-T.
Yeah.
If you just go on Amazon and you type in the search bar Bent Cybercrime, it comes right up.
Yeah. Or my channel, but you got my channel. You got the narration, which is just a synopsis of the book.
Matt's YouTube channel, which is
it's Matt Cox and Inside True Crime.
Yeah.
We can put the links.
Yeah, or you can connect with me through my social medias, Slum by Nature at Slum by Nature Instagram, and
with the bunch of the tattoo and stuff too.
Hell yeah!
Oh yeah, my tattoo page is jug.ink, JUUG.ink.
Yeah, we can
Instagram.
but we can send him all the.
Yeah.
If you send it to me,
Yeah,
I'll
I'll post
send
it
you all
below.
the.
Sick. Thanks, guys. That was a wild ride.
Thank you.
Jeez.